Hello and good morning, everyone. Sorry for the few seconds delay. Just waiting for YouTube to actually say that I'm live. I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And as you can tell, I have been very busy. This is my sixth podcast of the week. I am literally exhausted from it mentally, physically. And I've even had a bit of writer's block on few of the shows that I'm working on, which is not good. But we do have an amazing show prepared for you today with a lot of topics. And I know that there are some that are going to be asking, hey, Boom, how come you guys are not talking about what's going on at the Game Awards? Well, listen, I've said my piece on it. I have an original piece that I wrote for Monday Night Show where Jay Fonzarelli from RDX is going to be a guest. And we're going to go into whether or not there is corruption at the Game Awards. But for this show, it's going to be about games, folks. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we do. We play games, we enjoy games, and that's where we're going to take this particular show. But I do want to start off with something that I find to be very important. Now, there is a particular community member. You know him as J-Dubs, also a.k.a. at the Graphic God on Twitter. He has done something that I think is not getting enough traction. And I am a person that loves charity. I'm a person that loves donating to charity and helping out whenever I can. And he has done something that I think is so special that we just have to take 2 minutes at the beginning of today's show to kind of let people know about it. He started a program called Project X Proud, meaning that you're proud of the Xbox brand. And what he has done is he has created 8 original designs that are available for download for free. If you want to change your avatar, like on Twitter or on Facebook or any of the other social media locations where you have the ability to put in your own artwork, he does not charge for them. But what he has done is he is selling these designs. And I want to read a message directly from J-Dubs. He says, hey, fam. Until the new year, I will be donating 100% of all the proceeds made from any Project X Proud product sold at redbubble.com. The Able Games charity will be the ones that the monies are going directly to. 100% of all monies. And if you do not want to buy anything, you can simply just donate to a link that I do have in the show notes. And if you're wondering what basically is Able Gamers, Able Gamers is a 501c3 nonprofit charity organization that wields the power of gaming to break down the barriers of economic and social isolation for children, adults, and veterans with disabilities. And I think that this is ultra important. If you're interested, you can either reach out to J-Dubs directly or through DM, or you can simply just go to the show notes. The link is there for you to either donate, purchase, or just reach out to J-Dubs personally. Either or, I think that everyone should get involved. And I'm going to be retweeting this later on. Any retweets and favorites to help the awareness get out there would be greatly appreciated. But let's get into this outstanding panel. First up, and again, folks, listen, here's the thing. Again, when I say I'm exhausted, I'm so exhausted that I actually did not write original openings for everyone. So this is going to be a very... You know who's here. They've been here before, but we're still going to give them a proper intro. And I want to start off with Zemi Games. Zemi, I think you're on mute, and I don't know if you are here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
so here, Boom.
Excellent. Yeah, and he certainly is. He's always the first dude in the class, and he is sitting up front because he wants to learn all. First of all, Zemi, I want to thank you for being here. You are our resident scary games expert, and I want to thank you for all of the times you've pushed me through the door so that I died and you didn't, and we're okay with that. But I want to thank you for being here. You bring a lot to each show that you're on, and of course yesterday you brought it big time on the Xbox Factor podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Boom. And you know what? I'm finally making my return to this show this week. So
yes, you are.
But yeah, thank you so much for throwing me the invite. It was short notice, but I was super excited, and I couldn't wait to hop back onto the show. So thank you so much for that, Boom. Can't wait.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you as always, and of course, we have someone here that has been basically fighting with the entire internet the last couple of days, and he does have a strong opinion, like he does have a strong sense of the force. And I am talking about So Shady. Shady is a gamer through and through. He is someone that does have a strong opinion, and even though he does value others, if you cross him, he will force choke you. Welcome to the show, Shady.
Thanks, Boom. Love that intro there. It was on the dark side, which is my side. I liked it a lot. You're right, man. I was arguing with a bunch of people, and weirdly about something I really don't give a damn about. I don't care about Game Awards stuff. I don't care about reviews. I'm not into that thing. But I hear a lot of people out there that do care about that stuff. They parrot who wins forever, man. So I'd rather the show had some integrity to it, not the appearance of corruption, misdoings, shadiness, if you will. And that's what I've been going on about. So I'm burnt out of it, man, because at the end of the day, I don't care. I just want everyone else to have a show that at the very least looks like it's all above board. But I'm burnt out on that topic. I'm glad we're not talking about it this morning. It's games, and more games. Let's get into it, baby.
Yes, that's what it's about. At the end of the day, folks, again, when you're putting these shows together, and you want to make sure that the content is fresh, the content is fun, the content does cover important things. You can't just harp on one particular piece of news. You got to move it around, and that's why I'm focusing on the games aspect of what we all love. But let's talk about the next person in here. You know him as the raunchiest man on social media. He is the mouth of the South of Canada, and he is certainly a good friend to this community as well as this podcaster. Please welcome Noof Nukem. Thanks for being here, dude.
Boom, boom, kaboom. It's Noof back in the room. Yeah, it's been a while. I can't even remember the last time I've done a podcast. I guess it's a few weeks back, I suppose. I don't know. Like, I lose track on all these things, but I always appreciate the invite, Boom, and get excited to be here on a Friday morning with all you guys in the awesome chat, as well as sick panel, dope-ass topics. We are ready to go. Like I said, I'm all about it, man. And yes, it is kind of refreshing that we're not going to beat to death. Oh, geez, I'm tired of it already. Yeah, let's move right along, man. It's going to be a fun show.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, he's been a panel member before, but it has been quite a bit since we've had him on. You know him as Mads Gaming. He is definitely someone that you should be on the lookout for. His channel is original. His channel is thorough. It's thought-provoking, and I enjoy talking with him. I was on his show just the other day. I believe it was Wednesday, where I was on for about an hour, and we got a lot of information in that hour. Mads Gaming, welcome, my friend.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks, Boom, for the invite. Really appreciate that. Nice to be here. Great topics, great panel. Let's do it.
Excellent. Well, again, of course, love what you bring to the community, and love that you are one of the more honest content creators that I personally know, and I enjoy what you do. But let's get into the games now. The first topic is going to be BioWare is reportedly planning an Anthem overhaul. And developing a new Mass Effect. And the question of right out of the bat is, can we see the return of the king when talking about the Mass Effect franchise? Now, in a story that I pulled from the pages of Windows Central, they are reporting that big changes are coming to Anthem and that they could potentially reboot the troubled franchise, which is incredible. And listen, I mean, you depending on who you are or what your love or dislike of the Mass Effect franchise is, 1, 2, and 3 set an epic precedence for gaming during the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. Unfortunately, Mass Effect Andromeda didn't hit the way I think many of the Mass Effect community wanted. I was one of them. I enjoyed the game. I didn't love the game. And when you talk about Mass Effect, it's easy to use the L word because, quite frankly, there is something to really love about that franchise. But let's talk about Anthem for a second. Now, I think everyone will admit this, that at some point or another, it was spoken about that Anthem was supposed to be the Destiny killer. And the potential was there. It really was. It looked so good during that E3 trailer where it was shown on the Microsoft stage. And I personally had huge and very high hopes and thought that it was going to be my game of the year for a lot of reasons. Like, I'm an old school cat, and I think everyone knows that. And when I saw the javelins, I immediately hearkened back to the old Robotech days. You remember the cycles that they used to transform onto their backs? The old Macross days. If you're an old bastard like me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. My brother Neo Mental and I used to play with the toys. We used to watch the anime. My God. And that's what I thought. But fans of Anthem shouldn't lose hope just yet. And we have a huge Anthem fan here in the form of So Shady, who is still playing. But I want to continue. According to the report from Jason Schreier, he is also known as the sleuth or detective at Kotaku. BioWare is currently planning a major overhaul of the game to improve gameplay mechanics, the loot system, progression, quests, and much more. Tentatively titled Anthem Next. And it's currently unclear how these improvements will come and whether or not the series will get a revised version that's put out there, or it's just going to be a huge update. Shady, when I first brought this topic to your attention, you obviously got super stoked because you are, number one, a big fan of Anthem, but number two, a huge fan of BioWare. When you hear that this, and usually, listen, I don't necessarily really care for Jason Schreier. I'm not going to be rude. I'll just say it as that, but I will give the guy credit where credit is due. He does break some unbelievable stories. And I don't know how he does it, but he does it. When you hear that he's talking about Anthem Next, and I'm sure that there's a lot of, he won't report it unless he has some serious chops behind what he's reporting. Are you excited to see what they can do to not refresh, but kind of like maybe shake the rust off of this franchise?
Yeah, I am, and I've actually been excited for a while. This news is old. It's old news. They've said this stuff numerous times. Casey Hudson has come out and said, we have 2 large teams building on Anthem. We're not done with it. It's still happening. People just don't believe him because it's EA and because the game got absolutely blasted when it comes to perception when it came out. A lot of it rightfully so. I think some of it not so much. I think the game, like many others today, the things that it isn't are held against it versus just what it is. Yes, it's not Mass Effect. When you go to Tarsus, the entire galaxy is not on the line. You're not doing that kind of stuff. That's unfortunate for some people, so be it. This is a totally different story. I do agree that all those conversations you had at the base felt very gossipy. They were pretty cash. The dialogue wasn't the greatest. It came off as fan fiction a lot of the time. Like the lore that you could read, I was very disappointed in. Whereas in Mass Effect, it was actually the lore that you could read and figuring out how, not figuring out, but like reading about how all the guns worked, how the ammo worked, reading the weather on all the planets. Like it was so dense in its amount of lore that you could absorb if you wanted to. That's what got me with Mass Effect. Mass Effect didn't play the greatest. It was kind of a clunky third-person shooter. It was not the best gameplay-wise, but it told an incredible story. The graphics were fantastic at the time, and I felt like a total badass hero because I could take things my way and didn't have to always be the good guy. I could make the hard decisions. I liked it because of that, man, but this was a different game. I was willing to look at it as a totally different game, and I loved it. I play it every single day, literally every single day for an hour to 2 hours to do all my dailies and my weeklies to get the in-game coin for the sweet cosmetics because I need to get my Peacock game on, baby. And it took a long time. It did. It launched pretty broken. There was a lot of very standard things that you see in other looters, like being able to change your guns in the open world. You'd be able to pick up something new and see what it is. That stuff wasn't there. It's there now. You can now change your gear while you're out playing. You don't have to go to Fort Tarsus in between every mission that you're playing. You can just go and do a bunch of missions in a row. The stability is much improved. You're no longer tethered by 15 feet to the other players, so you're not constantly getting pulled ahead because you're not keeping up. The game is just massively better. Oh, another big one that came recently was you can actually break down all of your loot that you get at the end in one button press instead of having to break down each piece 50 at a time. Oh man, like I had to deal with some garbage. I'm not going to pretend that the game was flawless, but I don't think it deserved the absolute blasting it got. It was the Destiny killer for me. I played a lot of Destiny with my brother, and then we played Anthem, and I didn't go back to Destiny. I still play Anthem every day. I love flying around like Iron Man. It's just great. It does need more content. It does need some more things. They've had 2 Cataclysm events. One of them's still going on. I enjoy them a lot. Wicked cosmetics that you can unlock. Not so much this one as there was the one previous, which is a bummer. The Mass Effect armor dropped. If you have in-game coin because you actually played the game, you can pick those up. Not anymore because they're gone. It's timed. It's terrible. But man, like I love the game, and this was old news. They'd confirmed that they were doing it for a while, so I was excited for a while. And what had me bummed was no one else seemed to have read the same news that I was reading, because everyone was like, and Anthem's dead. They're going to close Bioware down. Like that was kind of the narrative that's been going on since Mass Effect Andromeda launched was Bioware's done. They're shutting it down. It's like, Star Wars The Old Republic just printed its $1 billion in profit. Billionth. The game is huge. That's a Bioware game. It's run by Bioware. They're not going to shut a studio down that's running a $1 billion franchise today. It's not going to happen, let alone Mass Effect is huge. One stumbles, not enough to kill it. Dragon Age is huge.
Yeah,
that's coming. They confirmed that as well. And it's nice to know that confirmed coming out again, Anthem isn't dead. It's being retooled. That has me excited, a little bit concerned, but not so much. Like the game can improve in a lot of ways. It does need more content. I've heard they're going to go like hardcore, completely redesign the mission structure, completely redesign the campaign, completely redesign the loot, redesign how the weapons work and the gear works. And it needs a lot of that. But I just hope that what they
know when
change
that's
is good.
coming? Sorry.
Well, I just hope it's good. Like I don't want them to change something and have it end up being not as fun.
What are you talking about there, Mads? The update or Dragon Age?
The update. Do we actually know when this big update's coming?
No, if I were to guess, it would probably be around the time of launch, like year 2. This will be their big start of year 2, and I don't expect it all huge at once either. I expect maybe a little bit of
during the first year anniversary sounds about right. So
that's right. Like a lot of games like this.
February, Shady?
I think it was like February 18th or something like that. 22nd actually I think was the date, because there was like 8 games last year that originally had that date, and they all moved except for Anthem and one other one. I think it was Metro. But I am excited. I think the game has a ton of potential. It sold almost 8 million copies.
Yeah, it sold. So right critically, it might not have done as great, but commercially,
as they wanted. Like it was the biggest launch in Bioware history. That says something. The game sold almost 8 million copies. It's likely already profitable. Yes, it didn't do what EA wanted it to. Every corporation wants the next $1 billion game. They all do. So they can always come on and be like, well, it didn't do what we wanted. It's kind of guilting us into hopefully going and supporting a franchise. I don't know. It made money. It had to have. At almost 8 million. At the very least, it has a lot of gamers' interest. It had a lot of people's hype. It just didn't live up. And because of that, I think that if you can come back and they can resuscitate this thing publicly, it'll have success still. People already own the game. It's in EA Access right now. If you don't have it and you don't have EA Access, it's dirt cheap to buy. So if they do fix the thing for everyone else, because it's more or less fine for me, I enjoy it. I've accepted it for what it is. But if they can fix it for everybody else, I think that there's a very bright franchise here that a lot of people will come back and try it. You just have to load it up. And if you like what you like, or if you like what you see, you keep playing. If you don't, then hit up Twitter and slander it again, like has been going for the last almost year. It doesn't matter. Nothing will change. But I'm glad that they're come out publicly again and made sure that everyone knows that this is not a dead franchise and they're going all in on it. It's not cheap to make a brand new IP from scratch. And this is a brand new IP. It has a lot of potential for everyone that actually played it and read what the game has and the lore and the stuff. There's some cool things that they can certainly do with this game. There's like wicked shit at the end credit scene, new race stuff coming in. Very, very cool. As far as Mass Effect goes, that's awesome that they're not letting that just sit for years and years and years either. They're already working on a new one. I am concerned, though, because Mass Effect came out swinging so hard on its story. The entire galaxy was on the line. It was going to, you're going to be wiped out. It was up to you to save the whole galaxy. It doesn't get much bigger than that. So as much as I absolutely adore sci-fi and I love Mass Effect and the world that they've built, I think it'll be hard to cook up another story that has the same weight. It'll just be me in a sci-fi romp doing something that could be pretty dire. Maybe I'm saving a planet of billions of people. I mean, that's serious, but it doesn't feel as serious as saving the entire galaxy. So that's kind of my thought on Mass Effect. I'd almost rather just see another sci-fi franchise get made in that level of detail and care, as opposed to just keep going with the name. It's hard to beat a galaxy save the day story. It really is.
No, you're absolutely right on that. Before I get to Noof Nukem, because I want to get your opinion on this, just to thank Spider-Man with the outstanding $10 super chat, and he says, with the success of Star Wars Fallen Order, it's clear EA doesn't have much say in what Respawn does. Do you think that EA will start taking more hands-off approach to the single-player IPs for other EA devs? Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, and my answer to that, dude, is Respawn has the development chops, and all I can say is that thank goodness they didn't use the Frostbite engine for this game, that they used Unreal Engine for. I don't think the game would have turned out as good. Obviously the Frostbite engine is a great engine for first-person games. And that's clearly made evident through Battlefield. But you know what? It's funny you asked that question. I think EA is going to look at this, and they may, depending on what the franchise is, there actually may be more single player games that are focused upon now because of the success of Jedi Fallen Order, which is an amazing game. And I know that I've talked to a lot of people. It's going to be their game of the year, 2019. It's so good. But Noof, I just want to get to your opinion on this. Another interesting part of the report was that a new Mass Effect game has entered early development at Bioware Edmonton under the director of Mike Gamble. The game would be at this point would be extremely early in development. However, the fans probably shouldn't expect news for quite some time, considering that Dragon Age 4 is currently being worked upon, and it was originally shown off at the Game Awards at during 2018. Are you excited? I mean, obviously, I don't know how much of a BioWare fan you are, and what the Mass Effect series actually means to you. But are you happy to know that this is a series that, because they had a bit of a shaky ground on the last one, that this unbelievable franchise is not going to remain dormant?
Well, let's just say this much. I like BioWare. I'm not going to claim I'm their biggest fan. I didn't really care for the Dragon Age franchise too much. But Mass Effect does strike a chord with me. It's been near and dear to my heart. I love the original trilogy. And to be honest with you, I even enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda. Despite a few flaws here and there, I thought the game was pretty solid. Wasn't perfect. But it was a competent game. There was things that they did better, and there was some things about that game that they did worse. I don't envy the team at BioWare right now, especially their sort of main team based out of Edmonton, because there is a lot riding on the Mass Effect franchise, on their reputation, which is really shitty. Because I don't mean they're shitty, but the sad part about all this is, and this is kind of like sports athletes and things. You're only as good as what you do today, and what you did yesterday really means nothing, because you can make 20 amazing hit games in a row, but the moment you drop the ball in one game, automatically BioWare's washed up. BioWare's no good. Look, the bottom line is, with any of these studios, good people come and go. You are the sum of your parts. A lot of this industry is new. They're new to the industry. They're new game programmers. They're new developers. The name might be around for decades. Doesn't mean that the same people that started it up aren't there. Like we saw Casey Hudson. We saw a lot of their top brass kind of filter in and out of that studio and come back. I think one of the biggest mistakes, and probably one of the hardest learning curves for that studio, was handing off the work to a new engine. They went with the Frostbite engine for Andromeda, obviously for Anthem, but it was always the Unreal Engine that powered this franchise before this. I don't know whose choice that was. Something tells me the brass at the top at EA might have had something to do with that. And I think it's unfortunate, because you see EA went back, or at least Respawn was able to use the Unreal Engine for Fallen Order, right? And it looks good. It's playing good. there might be something to that. Game engines are not an easy task for people to turn around games on. That's why Call of Duty stayed with their engine for so long, because their developers knew how it worked. It could decrease the turnaround time on projects, which means they were able to get stuff out faster. That's how you get these games out on a yearly basis, or even a bi-yearly basis, is by having that in place, right? And you know what? And Anthem itself is a good game. But it's also a shining example of what is wrong with this industry, where there's too much. Let me just say, because the stakes are so high in the games industry, because everybody's fighting for market share, because everybody wants to be the next big thing, to come out with a new IP is scary as hell. Yep. Because you don't know if it's going to sell. And that's the biggest thing. So what do people do? Instead of handing it off to the developers and saying, make the game you really want to make, they end up making a game they kind of want to make, but they also, you can tell on a lot of games that they make the game to copy and follow what the industry trend is doing, right? So they take all the shit, like we see right now, everybody under the sun is making a battle royale game, right?
Cartoon games too, if you know.
Cartoon games, battle royale games, open world games are the new hotness. Everybody has to make an open world game, when clearly some of these franchises are not meant for open world games. And I'm pointing at you, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, like fuck off, you piece of shit turd. Honestly, like go back to the way it was on the 360 and make some real games with a story and some gripping, engaging combat instead of this pining pink weapons and shit like that. Like I'm not a looter. I'm not a looter shooter, dude. I hate that crap, and that's one of the things I also didn't like about Anthem. Anthem should have been more like Mass Effect, but with cooler, because it was kind of like Mass Effect with cooler characters, great graphics, all that stuff. But that is what's wrong with the industry, is people are afraid to go out and make the projects they really want to make. It feels like someone at the top says, make this game, but make sure you have a multiplayer. Make sure that you have something there to drag people in for the long haul. That's you look at the Sony's games. None of that. They are single-player narrative games. And you know what? Kudos to them, because they're not forced to throw in multiplayer just because they want to please a certain crowd and make millions of dollars. You know, and new IPs are scary, man. That's why I think Mass Effect to an extent is safe, and I wouldn't want to see them kind of go out and try another space franchise just because. Yeah, it's great to get new stuff, but the thing is, the old stuff resonates. Right off the bat, the Mass Effect franchise is going to draw attention to the series. So right from the get-go, good or bad, you're going to get an initial buy-in because people want to play it. They know what the franchise is. If you could make Mass Effect and then put another name on it and call it the black hole in the middle of space, and people will be like, I don't think I want to play black hole in the middle of space.
A name can be your biggest enemy, like a Star Wars or even like this Mass Effect, right? Where if it comes out swinging so hard, even though the next one's called Star Wars or called Mass Effect, it's just got such big shoes to fill. It's difficult. It's a messy thing.
Totally. But I mean, I don't know absolutely. I like Anthem. I'm not as big a fan of it as say Shady is, but the thing is, and I commend them for this, is they know they do have a solid foundation. They know they did a lot of things right with the game. The game's also taken a lot of unnecessary hate. Like Shady says, people are quick to point out what's not in the game or what's wrong with the game instead of taking a look at what they did right. I mean, graphically, the world, the lore, the combat mechanics are amazing. I mean, tell me you didn't have fun. If you picked that up and played that with your friends, you had to have fun, which unlike a current Game of the Year contender, yes, you can have fun in Anthem. It's not a slog. But kudos to them for sticking with it. Hopefully they bring this back bigger and better. Hopefully fans can get back on board. People aren't that jaded. Give it another shot, you know, if and when they improve it. But yes, they have a great franchise there that they could build on. We just hope that, you know, the ship hasn't sailed and that people are willing to give it a chance. But like I said, the market is so crowded right now and people are so fickle and social media is unbelievable. So there you go. It's an uphill battle, but I commend them for taking it, and just let those developers have fun. Let them make the games that they want to make, and please bring back Mass Effect and bring it back bigger and better than ever. Don't release it till it's good to go. Don't fucking jade us with crappy microtransactions. Just make a solid game. And I think they'll be just fine.
No,
Indeed. And
that's
real
really
quick,
great points.
I've heard a lot of people say they're not sure how the game's going to come out. Are they going to release it in an update? Is it going to be a new game? Are they going to try and sell it to somebody?
No, I think it's
They
good.
need to take a hit on
There's
this
going to be
one.
an update.
Yeah, they need to take a big hit on this one, and it needs to be a free update for everyone that
Absolutely.
owns the game. And when it comes out, they can't increase the cost of Anthem again. It needs to stay where it is. They need to build community goodwill with this, and if they're going to revamp the game, it needs to be completely on their end, 100%, and we don't have to pay another $1 to enjoy what they're doing. That needs to be the way it goes down.
Excellent point, dude. Excellent point. Real quick, before I get to Zemi Games, I know he's probably excited to talk about this because he does like Star Wars type titles. Brendan Bryce with the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, "Boom. Thanks for a great show." Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the compliment. Thank you for your generosity. And more importantly, thank you so much for being here, because I wouldn't have a show unless I had the 111 plus people here to listen to this show each and every week. So thank you so much for that. Zemi Games, listen, the unfortunate turnaround of big talent that has left the story developer in Bioware had it, according to some reports, in a bit of a pickle. But this new report from Jason Schreier suggests otherwise, and that we can expect big things from BioWare, more specifically from a new Mass Effect. As a fan or not of the series, does this get you excited?
Yeah, and so the last few months and whatever, all these people coming out talking about BioWare, like they might be going out of business, all this different stuff. I never thought that. The studio's too big. It has too big of a name for EA to toss it away. I just don't see any chance that would have ever happened. But as far as the Mass Effect thing goes, I am absolutely excited because, I mean, they stopped support for Mass Effect Andromeda after it released. Like, they had planned on coming out with DLC. They, eventually didn't do that, and they included some of like what they were planning on doing with the DLC and some novels, which I really, just absolutely hated. And so, there for a while, we were absolutely unsure about the franchise, where it was going. So to have the news that, it is still going to be, that they're still going to work on the franchise, it's not going to be something that just gets tossed aside for years, is absolutely fantastic. Personally, myself, I loved Mass Effect Andromeda. I recognize, that it does have some technical issues, definitely. But for me personally, I spent a better part of a week playing that game, 100%ed it, did every single thing possible, absolutely loved it. And I hope that they come out with the Mass Effect Andromeda 2, to be completely honest. That probably won't happen, but I'm very excited for that. As far as Anthem goes, I don't really know how I feel about it. It is a good, it's a good game. I enjoyed what I played of it, but part of me, a lot of these studios, Rare is a great example. They come out with a game, it's not exactly what everybody wants, and then they do the very admirable, thing, and they fix the game, which I think is great. But specifically in BioWare's situation here, I kind of, just the way I look at Anthem, not a whole lot of people are really talking about it anymore, at least not majorly on social media, at least from what I've noticed. Part of me just kind of thinks that, it should just, they should do a few more minor updates and then just, kind of leave it alone. Obviously, I think that they should make a sequel to the game. And if that's what they're talking about with the revamped gameplay and all that different stuff, if they're talking about making a sequel, I think that that's great.
No.
But I think BioWare needs to, personally, this is just my opinion. I think that they need to stop focusing on what they did wrong and focus more on assuring that what they do next is a good product. I would rather them have all of the resources of BioWare going behind new, like their new games, this new Dragon Age game, this new Mass Effect game. I would rather all the resources be going to that rather than trying to fix their mistakes. That I don't really think a whole lot of people are going to jump back to Anthem once they decide to update it. There's too many new games that come out every single year, and I think your average gamer probably isn't going to go back to that franchise. So I'd rather them spend the resources on their, current new projects.
Anthem's the only thing they have out now. They've just started those other games. They're 3 to 4 years out. So they need something that the people can play, that they enjoy, that can bring in money. And that's Anthem. So they're not talking about just like updating a few things. It's like a ground level up, full on reimagination rebuild is what I'm getting from what they're talking about here. I better just get my cosmetics that I've earned. That's all I want. But they're talking about like it's going to be a different game, just called Anthem again. Anthem 2.0, totally different shit. You come in, you play. They need it because they're years and years away before anything else launches, and this studio needs something other than that Star Wars MMO. As much as it just printed its billionth dollar, it didn't do all that in a year. It's been out for a decade. So like they need something today that is actually earning that company some cash and paying its employees outside of just EA doing its own, like out of its pocket. It needs to earn money, and Anthem's the deal with that.
No, I mean that's actually a great point, Shady, and I think that if they do it right, people won't mind the microtransactions, but the game at its core needs to be fun.
It's already got an 8 million out there. People have already bought it, so if they can make it worth playing and it starts getting good buzz, all you have to do is load it up again, and all of a sudden, if you like it, then you might start buying some microtransactions and stuff, or at the very least, start talking about it positively, social media style, and we just get some positives talk about BioWare and the franchise, because like everyone said earlier, IPs are risky and very expensive to create, so they're not going to abandon this sucker, man. They need it, and they need it today, like sooner than later.
No, that's actually a great point. Mads, I want to get your opinion on this. Mass Effect obviously is a storied franchise. It's a storied franchise that has a lot of high emotions attached to it. It's one of my favorite franchises from that era of gaming. Mass Effect 2 is probably in my top 10 of favorite games of 40 years of gaming. I loved every minute of it. And I was expecting big things from Andromeda. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a letdown for me, being such a big fan. But when you hear that BioWare is not only going to go back and fix Anthem and do, like Shady was saying, like a 2.0 version, which I think is important. What are your thoughts on the fact that they're currently in development, even if it's an early development, a new Mass Effect game will be coming?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me very happy because I like sci-fi games. So you can imagine that I did enjoy Mass Effect a lot, especially the original trilogy. But I actually did like Andromeda as well. So, I mean, I get that it wasn't perfect, that it had technical issues, it had all kinds of different bugs and whatever, right? But I thought that this game was pretty okay. I mean, it was good 8 out of 10 for me personally, right? As for Anthem, I mean, like there was so much expectations towards this game, and like you guys were saying, like Destiny Killer and whatever, right? We all know how that ended up. But I still think that there's a lot of potential. So it's actually good that they're not abandoning the game. Because I guess there's just maybe it's a new trend, because back in the days what usually happened was that if a game flopped, nobody really cared about it. Let's move on to another project, right? And obviously the fact that it's going to be a game as a service as well, then obviously there's still some potential to it. They can monetize it, and at least give some hope for people that still wants to play it. I played Anthem a little bit at launch. I actually tried it out via EA Access. And for what it was actually pretty fun, right? I'm not really a big multiplayer guy, so I didn't really went for those cataclysms and however you call it, right? But I did enjoy it. But obviously the game had a lot of bugs, glitches, annoying things. So I was like, okay, so you know what? I tried it out. I'll wait until they fix it. And then I got dragged away by other games and stuff. And funny that's the topic, because recently I was thinking about getting Anthem again, because if you look at different deals right now, you can get Anthem for $6 or $7.
Yep,
right
$7.
Now, right?
Yep.
Honestly, I was like, really? So all these news makes me happy, because I had very high expectations towards Anthem. I still thought that it was okay game, not the greatest. So the fact that they are working right now, that they will be making some changes to the campaign. I haven't played the game for a very long time, but listening to what So Shady was saying, that the game got a lot of fixes already, right? That's the life of.
Yeah, I'm going back to playing it. I stopped.
Yeah.
I have maybe 2 or 3 hours into it, and it was really it was giving me such a hard time that I didn't want it ruined for me. I still have high hopes for it. So now that I know that they're doing this, I'm jumping back into Anthem because it's something I really, really was excited to play.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the same. Like, but last couple of months was actually quite busy because we had Gears, then Outer Worlds. Now I'm finishing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order as well. I'm towards the end of the game.
Call of Duty came out before that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Call of Duty is not really a long game, but like I said, I'm not really a multiplayer game, so I play these games for campaign. So it's like, how long is it? Like 6-7 hours. So I'm looking forward to playing Anthem. As actually, So Shady actually got me hyped for this game again, right? Thanks, dude.
That's great.
So now I know that after the show I'll go and buy it because there's
you can't go wrong with $6, man. That's a coffee and a croissant, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll buy it and I'll probably play it once I finish Star Wars. Yeah, so I mean, that's very good news. And going back to the whole news about not Andromeda, but
Mass Effect.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that like, who was it? IGN broke the news about it, I think. I was like, really? I mean, and I was so happy about it when I heard that, because like you hear, like you guys were saying, like a lot of people were like, oh, BioWare is doomed, EA going to shut them down probably soon. And to be fair, I'm not really big of Dragon Age player. Like, I played it for a little bit, but I'm not really into that kind of games. Like I said, I prefer like sci-fi kind of games. So when I heard about Mass Effect, I mean, like I was like, yeah, it's happening, because I really lost pretty much all hope for another Mass Effect game after Andromeda, even though the game sold pretty well from what I've heard. It got fixed and stuff. So yeah, I'm super hyped about it. As for what they could do with the game, I have no idea, because like, if you really think about it, the original trilogy was such a epic game. You had those Reapers, like, basically killing everyone in the galaxy and stuff, right? So yes. I don't know, like, what else can you come up with? Like, what, another universe will attack our universe? Who knows? I don't know. Like, but either way, listen, whatever that is, like I said, I did enjoy Andromeda as well, even though it was like more of a local kind of conflict, if you know what I mean, right? And it was totally fine. So they could. I'm totally fine if they do something like that again with another crew or whatever, right? As long as it's in this kind of like world, and yeah, and it would be nice to get this kind of Mass Effect feeling again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's well, great points, obviously. And before I actually get to BitCloud Gaming, who's here, so thanks so much for being here, dude. I have to thank a couple of people. Scrub Nurse drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, "I love the concept. Would be great for Anthem comeback." And following suit, this is a really great comment that I think that not only will Scrub Nurse like, but I think most people will like. Philly Eagle in the chat drops a $5 super chat. He says, "Opinions aside, if No Man's Sky could reinvent itself, any game can reinvent itself. Hashtag fun, hashtag to each their own." Thank you so much for being here, dude. And of course, for the comment. And of course, BitCloud, I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, this report from Jason Schreier is a big report, and it's a report that I'm happy to read. Normally, obviously he's trying to get the scoop on who's slave driving their employees. This one I'm interested in hearing about, because obviously I had high hopes for Anthem. I'm going back to Anthem as soon as I'm done with the Fallen Order. I'm close to beating that, and as soon as that's done, I'm jumping right into Anthem because it's going to be a little bit slow. But I'm also excited because Mass Effect, a series that I had I was really concerned that EA was just going to kill it off and we'd never see one again. It's been almost confirmed that, yes, it's in development. It's in early development, but it's in development nonetheless. What are your thoughts on both titles, dude?
Well, Jason Schreier, I stopped taking him serious after he literally banned, or he pretty much blamed gamers for
Yes, yeah,
saving
yeah.
games. So I stopped taking him serious a long time ago. But as far as Mass Effect coming back, never got into Mass Effect, but I know my good friend Craig is into this particular game. I'll just say this. Obviously, I'm playing the Star Wars game right now from Star Wars, and it's really, really good. I do like what they've done with Respawn and EA, but if they're going to make another one, I would only hope that they will allow this developer to go all out and really make the game to their proper vision instead of focus on, turning into something else that it should not be. Really let this developer embrace his talent and give the fans a proper Mass Effect if they are going to do this. As far as Anthem is concerned, I played the beta for Anthem, never really bought it into it, so I can't really say much on Anthem. But again, a lot of people say Anthem had potential, so that's possible.
Well, I mean, listen, but both games nonetheless carry a significant amount of weight behind them. And when I say weight, I mean fan base, lore, story, just a franchise name in itself. Anthem, I mean, look, you could look at many games that are similar, not the same, similar to Anthem that released a broken mess and found a way through hard work and determination to make that franchise something special, become a game that people come back to. You can go back to Destiny 1. You can go back to Destiny 2. You can go back to, of course, both Divisions. You can go back to, Ghost Recon Wildlands. A lot of you can go back to some of the Assassin's Creed, even though it's not
Warframe
like that.
is a great example. Boom.
Warframe is a great example.
Yeah, and it was just wasn't fun when it launched for me. I thought it played terrible and everything, and they completely revamped the traversal in that game and added so much more in the last year or two. It's incredible how much that game has grown. And it's essentially a different game than what it launched at. And it's more successful now than it ever is. It plays better, it looks better, there's more to do. It's a great example of of games that can grow and change over time.
True,
yeah, no, it's
EA,
very interesting.
Yeah, but EA is still walking on thin ice for gamers as it is.
They are.
Yeah, they are. They
so
are.
I wouldn't really go all out and just like I don't want to say overhype something, right? Because that'd be wrong. But I understand the excitement because I'm excited for Resistance possibly coming back with.
Yeah, I saw your videos. They were great. A lot of information now.
So I don't know if those are going to happen now. But again, with EA, it's hard to really be super excited. Don't get me wrong. I love Star Wars. I'm loving the new game. It is absolutely amazing. Fallen Order, I can really feel the passion that went into this game. It really does show, and the fine print and stuff like that. You can just notice just from the cutscenes and the gameplay. But not every single game that EA usually publishes show that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to really just overhype or just be super over the top for it until we actually see it in general. I want to be very, very. I want everybody to simmer the expectations pretty much.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, obviously, they are the dreaded empire known as EA. So we have to temper expectations. But I am going to say that what they've done, and not they're just a publisher. Obviously, it's Respawn who made the game. Them making the game as good as it is going to garner some goodwill towards EA. And hearing that EA is going to allow BioWare to not only continue to exist, which is important in itself, but the fact that they're gonna do some big changes to Anthem, which is great. Maybe getting back to fan base the same way that Destiny did. Remember, Destiny was a big pile of what. And even though the game it did have it was fun in some aspects, it was broken in many others. And if people came running back, I think that could happen. And of course, Mass Effect, listen, I mean, they know what they did wrong in Andromeda. They're not going to make that mistake again. They're probably going to go back to see what made 1, 2, and 3 great and go, headfirst in story and control and lore and everything else. I have a really good feeling that we could see the return of the king. But I want to move on to the next topic, which I think.
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, come on in.
I mean, the story about new Mass Effect. does it say if the same team is working on this game as the Mass Effect Andromeda, or is that the A
No,
team?
I think this is. I think that it doesn't suggest it. It doesn't even imply it. But I can tell you that covering this business as long as I have, there's no way that if you're not the A team of BioWare, are they going to entrust them into the Mass Effect series after what happened with the so-called B team. That's why, I mean, they're currently hard at work at Dragon Age, so I don't think we're going to see a Mass Effect for a couple of years, maybe even 3, maybe even 4 years.
More likely next gen. More
Yes,
likely.
more than
That's
likely.
for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, so you will get all the details. This is probably just pretty much reaffirming what's happening, but you'll get the full details when Scarlet and PS5 are on the market eventually. So this story will be updated eventually. over
Hey
time.
guys, you know what? Do you know any way I can hibernate or something?
I love it. That's great. Yeah.
There was another bombshell. I don't know if Boom heard about it for Resident Evil. Did you hear about that?
For what? For 3?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have that story pulled, and I'm
Okay.
right. I'm currently in the midst. First of all, I had to read the story twice because my hairs stand up when you mention Resident Evil. I'm a huge fan. I beat Resident 2, the remake, 4 times, and I'm probably going to beat it another 4 times for the end of the year. I love that game. When I saw the story, I pulled it from Monday's show. I am very, very excited to talk about that. So yeah, Monday's show. But let's move on to the next topic. But before actually we do, Yobi Dren Gaming with the outstanding $4.99 super chat. Yobi, my brother, I hope you are well. I hope everything is going good at your new job. He says, hashtag peace, life, love. Love the work you have been putting. I'm extremely proud. Well, listen, first of all, dude, thank you for the compliment. That means more to me than anything else, because obviously coming from someone as positive as you, I'm glad that you can see that I try to be positive almost as much as I can possibly be in a generation where negativity sells. So thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for being here. But more importantly, Yobi, thank you for the outstanding compliment. But I want to go on to the next topic, and I think it's a good one. Phil Spencer wants RPGs to be a big focus of Xbox game studios in the next generation. And I got to be honest with you, folks, this is music to my ears. Now, with all of the studios Microsoft has added to their first-party lineup in the last 18 months, it's safe to say that they have a ton of games in full development. And in an interview, Xbox head Phil Spencer has revealed which type of game he would like to create more in the next coming years. Speaking with Xbox On, Spencer said that he thinks Xbox needs to have a larger focus on RPGs in the future. Spencer pointed out to the company's past focus on the genre, saying, "When I think Mass Effect 1, which I worked on, Jade Empire, Fable, I remember we had really staked out RPGs as something that was important. It's nice with the Outer Worlds coming out, Wasteland 3. I think RPGs are an area we purposely focused on and want to do more." During the interview, Spencer also mentioned that thanks to Xbox Game Pass, genre variety has become more rampant. And this is what he had to say on the matter. "As we're watching Xbox Game Pass grow, we're seeing more genres enter, and whether it's genres that used to be popular and are coming back, or creators are trying new things because they have an audience that's always there and they can think on how to deliver stories to those people, it's interesting to watch." Spencer saying that Microsoft would like to focus on more RPGs isn't something that should be surprising to anyone. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Outer Worlds, first of all, yes, it's a multi-plat game, but Obsidian is probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest pickups that they could have possibly done. Adding them to the roster that's already 15 studios is the most important thing when you think about what that particular company brings to the table. And now Outer Worlds is not only a commercial success, but it's a critical success not only with gamers but with obviously the mainstream media. That's a three-headed snake that I don't think anyone. I mean, we thought it could happen, right? Because it's Obsidian, but nothing is guaranteed, right? I mean, we just talked about the highs and lows of BioWare. It could happen with Obsidian, and thankfully, it's been completely one high after another. And we know that The Outer Worlds is now going to be a straight up banger exclusive for the next generation Xbox moving forward, and that is a big deal. And if you are someone that played it on PC, you're probably going to continue there. But if you are a person, a guy, a gal, it doesn't matter, if you're a gamer and you enjoyed it on the PlayStation, you may want to consider either moving over to PC and getting the next Xbox, because that's a franchise that you fell in love with. So I don't know, but I want to go to Noof Nukem on this. When you hear Phil Spencer, I mean, almost in every interview that he's been doing in the last couple of months, there's always something really fun and interesting about it. You know, he's talking about the future of gaming, but when he starts talking about RPGs, an area that I think that seriously needed some big help in, and they got, are you excited for the future of the platform?
Yeah, it's really amazing how the Xbox has kind of had its peaks and plateaus when it comes to RPGs and JRPGs. Because if you remember, the amount of support that the original Xbox had was staggering, and then it kind of dipped off, and then it kind of came back a little bit one spurt with the Xbox 360, and they knew they had to do it, so that's why they went over and got some big names and some big games like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey and a bunch more, right? So Phil knows it's part of the market. He knows that, you know, JRPGs, they might not set the world afire. Like, I don't know, outside of Final Fantasy, if there's anything that's massively huge in terms of sales. I mean, I think they're always successful. I don't think they're they're not Call of Duty successful, but there still is a market. There's a demand, and I think Xbox has done a pretty good job of listening to its fans. And there's a cry for certainly more Japanese RPG games, and we started to see a trickle down of them. And I think next gen they're set up to be in good shape. Phil, like I said, this wasn't Phil's game to begin with at the Xbox One. He took it over late in the cycle. A lot of development started late, so I think that the next Xbox is going to have much more support overall than we saw with this generation. Like right now, they're just trying to close the door on this Xbox, I think, to be quite honest with you. But I like where Phil's going. I like the direction. I think most fans seem to be relatively happy, but the proof's in the pudding. And you can talk all day, but again, you can talk a big game, and at some point you got to play ball. You got to get out there and put the results on the field, and you have to show that commitment is there. And at the same time, the fans themselves have got to start showing commitment to games as well. Microsoft's also in a different scenario because they have Game Pass. Game Pass is far more forgiving to games. A lot more, IPs are tend to show up there because, again, there's not that large commitment, but they have access to a massive install base. People want to try Game Pass. They're more willing to take a risk on a game, say they wouldn't have tried before, just because of that platform. So I like where they're going with things. There's not much else to say on it, but I hope they definitely bring more RPG support. There's definitely a market for them, and all that stuff. So kudos to them. Let's just hope it keeps going and that they can get more games out.
No, that's really great points, Noof. I love the direction of where your points were going. Zemi Games, I want to get your opinion on this. Before I do, I have to thank Michelle Alexandria for the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. First of all, thanks for being here. Thank you for the generous $2 super chat. We appreciate you being here each and every week. But Zemi Games, when you hear this interview from Phil, you can combine this with the fact that rumors of Fable 4 is currently in development at Playground Games. I wish they would just confirm it, but okay, we know that it's coming in one way or another. It seems like Xbox Game Studios is set to have a very solid slate of RPG titles in the future. Are you excited by this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a absolute huge RPG fan, regardless of what it is. I loved, Fable. That's probably that's really, from my understanding, I think pretty much one of the only major RPGs that is a first-party Xbox exclusive. So obviously, I'm super excited for that. I'm also excited for what for what Obsidian is planning on doing. Really excited about In Exiles, Wastelands 3, and whatever they do after that. And I think just altogether, this makes a whole lot of sense. Obviously, Xbox is doing variety, so it's not just going to be RPGs. Of course, they're working on tons of different things, first person shooters, platformers, all sorts of different things. But I think it's really important for Phil to come out and for Xbox to put an emphasis on RPGs, because it's a huge genre and it's a huge moneymaker as well. There's some companies out there that all they do is RPG after RPG, and it's a very stable business practice for them. Of course, Xbox isn't going to be doing that, but CD Projekt Red is a great example of how profitable and how large the RPG genre is. So yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Honestly, another thing as well is, RPGs, like a lot of people, like whenever they think of a system seller, a lot of the times they don't think about, like an RPG game. They think about Halo or Gears of War or Last of Us or, whatnot. But I mean, RPGs can also be major system sellers as well. For me personally, the only reason why I bought an Xbox 360 all those years ago was so I could play Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that at the time was only available on the Xbox 360. So, I mean, just all around, it makes sense. I don't think that there's any disadvantage for them to focus on RPGs, and it's definitely one of my favorite genres. So it's a win-win-win for me.
Nice. That's a strong statement, and I know how much you love RPGs. I really was interested to hear your comment. Big Cloud, I want to get your opinion on this. The RPG genre is not only still viable in today's market, but the open worlds, action adventure slash big adventure type games are something that people really look forward to. You take, for instance, The Witcher 3, and you take a few of the other bigger ones. I mean, people look forward to this, and hearing that Phil Spencer is looking back to what was really popular back in the days that did very well for the platform, and he's just taking the information that people want these types of games. Are you happy to know that they're doubling their efforts in bringing original RPGs that are exclusive to the platform?
Yeah, it's all about variety, That's what we are as gamers. That's what makes us gamers. We like a plethora of different genres. So it's smart to invest in those type of things. Their own first parties. Again, it'd be cool if their own first party talent can make their own version of The Witcher. That'd be big for them in general. They'll have their own particular style of that, so they don't necessarily have to worry about or have to be so focused on the third party aspect. They have their own version and have something else, and that's smart on their end. So yeah, it's good to have variety. Like Sony has a lot of variety. Nintendo just kind of caters to their own when it comes to their audience. But again, it's all about having options in this particular regard. You need options. So I think it's smart, especially with xCloud. Again, it's all about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a combo if you think about it. Obviously your platform is important.
Right.
Strong first party is important. xCloud's important. Game Pass is important. If you start putting big titles, big RPG titles in there, and you kind of mix it all together, that sounds like quite a tasty cake for me.
And keep in mind, they're selling xCloud, right? xCloud is still getting ready to pretty much take off in a sense, right? They're like really pushing that. So again, you would need those type of bangers to sell that platform. And tell you the truth, they don't even in their current shape right now, they're already like outclassing the competition, which was Stadia. They pretty much outclassed Stadia even in their current state. But again, they really want to push it as this is the place to play type of thing. Mm-hmm. Then yeah, it's good to have those type of options.
Yeah, well, listen, options are key. Options are king. Mm-hmm. So Shady, I want to get your opinion on this, because obviously, if you love the Anthem, which Anthem is kind of an RPG, even though it's a space RPG, it's an RPG nonetheless. For you personally, are you excited to know that the RPG genre is going to not only have a place in the next generation Xbox platform, but that it's going to be done by first party, and it's not going to be like just something that's just glanced over. It's going to be an important part of their plans for the Scarlet and beyond. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, dude?
It's nice to see, and to be honest, it's not surprising. Microsoft has, 15 studios, with at the very least, we're pushing probably 20 plus dev teams between them all. A lot of these studios have multiple dev teams making multiple games, so it's likely over 20 dev, teams making games. That's a lot, so I can certainly see a couple RPGs in there. My issue is the term RPG, actually, and you kind of nailed it when you're like, Anthem is kind of like an RPG. Every game is kind of like an RPG today. Like everything
It is.
You could argue that Forza is. Instead of going out and collecting experience points, I'm collecting money. And instead of unlocking a new magical power, I'm installing a turbo in my car. Like, you're constantly playing these games to upgrade your character or your car or your whatever it is you are in this game. A lot of them tend to start pulling these quote-unquote RPG mechanics. Far Cry is another example where you start the game as one thing and you end the game as a throat-slitting lunatic that's throwing knives. You just have wicked perks in a lot of games today. So the RPG mechanic, even the name, role-playing game, am I not playing the role of the Master Chief in Halo? Am I not playing the role of Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn? Like, I know that's not what people are talking about, but I think it's a sloppy word is my point. It's a sloppy word. We need a new word for that genre. We're talking true, deep RPGs where it's all about the story, the progression, the level building, the actual choice that my character at the end of the game or even halfway through is totally different than yours. You're a mage or I'm a brute. Like that type of stuff. I know what we're talking about here. And it's nice to see that kind of thing. I'm not huge into the deep RPGs. I like the action RPG lights, kind of like the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, Anthem, Destiny, that type of thing. Even Witcher it's too RPG for me, and the gameplay isn't actiony enough. Like it's functional, but it doesn't feel fantastic to me. Like it kind of gets the job done at most. And I find that's what happens with a lot of role-playing games. The more deep a role-playing game is, the worse the gameplay gets. I'm not sure why that's a thing, but I even hear gamers defend that. That's because it's so long and huge and the choice is so big. It's okay that the game plays like ass. I'm looking at you, Skyrim. Like, they just play terrible to me. They're so jank. They're so stiff that I don't get into that as much anymore. Like, I really was into them more when I was growing up. I played Final Fantasy VII like a crackhead. I absolutely adored that. Metal Gear was my solid. I love that. That's not, again, action RPG-ish, and not even really an RPG, to be honest. I don't know, maybe. But it's a nice thing to see. There's a lot of people out there that are fans of the genre, whether you're the deep ones or the lighter ones that I tend to play myself. It's a good thing. And because everything Microsoft makes goes to Game Pass, I think it's good for them because these games are long, so they can keep retention. So someone who doesn't want to buy the game, they want to go into Game Pass, maybe they'll stick around for more than a month because the game is huge. I see a lot of people say that this type of model, the day and date and a service, won't work for Sony games because they're single player campaign, 12 to 20 hour games. So I can join in and instantly beat it in the weekend and then leave. So it wouldn't work. And I don't subscribe to that. It would work just fine. Doesn't matter. But the longer the game is, the more likely people might stick with the subservice to keep playing it. I think that's why Disney has doing one episode a week as opposed to the Netflix model and just releasing it all at once. Everyone could have watched The Mandalorian already in their free week and stopped if they're not on the nostalgia Disney train. So there's something to be said about releasing big products that are like 100+ hour investments, if you will, kind of like The Witcher. I hear guys putting in like 300-400 hours in that sucker and still don't have all the quests done. Like, that's next level. So good news all around. More games for everybody. They don't have to appeal to just me to be good news, really. So awesome.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. That's for definitely sure. Someone, of course, is ringing my bell, and they're going to have to wait. Let me move on to Mads Gaming. Hold on just a sec.
Everything just died. Did Boom just answer the phone?
I feel like Greg Miller. It's funny. It's funny because I normally no one bothers me, and the freaking bell is ringing, and they're ringing like an asshole, which is crazy during a live show. First of all, I want to apologize for the unprofessionalism. Normally I mute it, but it just happened to be at the time where I was moving on to the next guest. Mads Gaming, I want to ask your opinion on this. Obviously, Microsoft is making some big changes. What are your thoughts on them focusing on RPGs?
I mean, it's very good news, and it kind of makes sense because if you actually look at what they're trying to do right now, it's not only about Xbox anymore. It's they want to cater to PC gamers as well, and well, xCloud as well. But let's not go into that for a second. And we all know that PC gamers are very big into the RPG genre as well. Not to say that console gamers are not interested in that kind of games, but look at Wasteland 3, look at what InXile other games are like. They are more they cater more to like PC gamers. But generally speaking, like it's a very good news because many of you before said that OG Xbox was very heavy on RPGs.
Yes.
I remember games like Enclave, like this Phantom Dust. It's a kind of RPG kind of game as well, I think.
Yeah.
There was Jade Empire. We had Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Morrowind, obviously, there was a ton of games like that. So it's nice that they're actually going back to it, but if you ask me, I don't want those. So Shady said that I don't necessarily want those Witcher 3 kind of experiences. Like I appreciate this game for what it is, like Witcher 3 or Skyrim or whatever. These 500 hours long games and stuff, right? But listen, life is too busy for me, and I don't have time playing these games. I still haven't finished Witcher 3, and I kind of do 2 or 3 quests here and there, and then move on to another game. I like the Outer Worlds. I did like it. It's like a 20 hours kind of experience, very compact and focused on the main story, right? You're not being dragged away too much by the side quests and stuff. So I want them to make that kind of games, right? More compact and shorter one, but more straight to the point. It's a very good news. The Fable 4. I'm not entirely sure if I really want Fable 4 to be.
Oh my God, no!
No. Listen, I don't want Fable 4 to be a proper Fable game. I want this to be a proper reboot.
I agree with you there. Yes,
more dark and stuff, right? So at the end of the day, we don't even. They may call it a Fable, right? But look what Sony did with God of War, right?
Great point.
Same name, but it's a completely different game, right? Now, obviously, I'm not trying to say that they. Yeah, I don't want I just want because Fable wasn't really a game for kids because there was a lot of adult humor and everything,
yes.
Right? But you know what I mean, right? I want this to be like a dark, more heavy experience, right? Basically, and they've got Playground Games that we know that they are working on action RPG. Which probably is Fable. Now we've got Obsidian, which is working on a couple of projects.
Yeah, multiple RPGs. Yeah,
it's a very good news, and just the fact alone that they are diversifying right now. Because if you look at the studios they bought, now obviously we're going to have a Halo, so shooter, Gears, another shooter. 2 Forza games, so obviously the typical Xbox stable, but on top of that, Ninja Theory, they are making all kinds of action adventure kind of games. Now we've got those 2 studio, Obsidian and
InXile,
so RPG games, and it's going to be a variety of different games because if you look at the Obsidian, they tend to do those bigger games, while InXile is kind of focused, at least so far, they've been making those isometric kind of type of games. So it's a different, RPG still, but it's a bit different kind of experience, right?
Right.
We still don't know what Compulsion is going to be making, but probably some form of adventure game again. So I'm excited about what Microsoft has in store, even though we don't know what they've got in store.
Yeah, well, right now we can only speculate.
Yeah, push them to that next tier. like
Yeah.
Sony did with God of War. You know, that just that next tier above into something different.
Yeah,
So,
that would be interesting. I would love to see. I'll say this, and I'll agree with Mads. I don't want a Fable 4 like Fable 3 or Fable 2 or even Fable 1. I don't want that. I'm sorry. I know that maybe I'm going to get booed on my own show, and that's fine if that's the case. But I want an adult themed, story driven, real life graphics. You know, I want Gears of War, God of War type graphics for my next Fable. I don't think I'm asking too much for that, and I think that that's the route the franchise. If you've taken this long to bring the series back, it's got to come back in a way that's going to make someone shit their pants when they turn on the game, and that's the experience I think most people will ask for. But you know, I want to move on to the next topic because we have a couple of really good ones. But before I actually do, I just want to do a quick shout out to my Patreon members. You know, obviously I started a Patreon support earlier this year, and it's been a raging success, and you know, it's allowed me to do bigger giveaways. My Mrs. Boomstick and I have something really special planned for the holiday season, which I'll be making an announcement once we get into December and what we're actually doing. So real quick, I just want to give my Patreons a shout out live on the air, and then we'll get into this topic number 3. The Patreon support goes as Casket Repair, The Only One Left, Defunct Jester, Dave, Elemental P, J Force Games, John Blue, Leroyce Smiley, Mark Devlin, Michael Davidson, Alfonso Hogan, Josette Rivera, of course, is my wife, Tempest Son, Frederick Jackson, Jim Jordan, Chaos Theory, and of course, the enforcer himself, Lethal Papa. Thank you guys and gals for the outstanding and ridiculous continued support. But let's move on to a story that I think that everyone is going to get excited about if, of course, you are looking towards the future. There is some new rumored and leaked information regarding the PlayStation 5, and its release date apparently is going to be November 20th, 2020, and the price is going to be $500, according to a leak that I just pulled from Games Radar and the story that they wrote up. And according to the story, the PlayStation 5 could be releasing on November 20th, 2020 for the price of $500 here in the United States, according to new information that was found by someone who originally leaked the first release date of The Last of Us 2. Now, according to the article, a Twitter user by the name of PSE Rebus has recently been posting information about Sony's next generation console, including specifics on the yet to be announced PS5 price and release date. As we already know, though, Sony has confirmed that its upcoming hardware will be launching sometime in holiday of 2020, exactly 12 months from now. And as of this show, Sony has stopped short of revealing any specific date. But this latest claim of November 20th had some validity to it, because in another story that just actually released, apparently Gran Turismo 7 is rumored to be releasing on the 20th of November in 2020. And I gotta be honest with you, not only am I shocked, but I am super stoked, because I have always been a Gran Turismo fan. I did not like the last one, I will tell you that right now. It was a bit of a mess, missing tremendous amount of content. And to think that you're going to get a Gran Turismo as a PlayStation 5 launch title has me super stoked. So now I want to go to actually Noof Nukem, and I want to go to you first, Noof, because I saw that you recently have been so disgusted with the way things have been going that you actually said in a tweet, if I'm not, and I don't want to misquote you here, that you actually may just go all in on the Xbox for next generation, because obviously there's only so much money that goes around, and these consoles are going to be goddamn expensive. But are you considering purchasing, or were you considering purchasing the PlayStation 5 day one? And what are your thoughts are on a 2020 release on November 20th?
Well, anybody who knows me knows that I like and support all the platforms.
Yes, you do.
But I also do you prefer Xbox? And I've made that very clear. I've always liked the Xbox ecosystem. I've always preferred franchises like Forza and Gears. Yes, the typical Forza, Gears, Halo. But hey, what's wrong with that? Because that's why people love Nintendo, is it not? For Zelda and Mario Kart, they love it for the same 3 or 4 freaking games that they always buy and play. But it's a crime. Sorry, it's a crime to like those games on Xbox. But it's okay to like Uncharted and like The Last of Us and like the same games that they're going to make over and over on the PlayStation. But without the fanboy rhetoric and bullshit aside, next gen, I'm going to reposition myself financially because this is becoming a very expensive hobby for me. And it's not just about buying the things that I want. It's, and of course, the Xbox guys are quick to go, no, just get the Game Pass because you can get everything. Look, at some point, guys, I probably will get Game Pass, okay? So put your panties away. And I'll tell you why I might eventually get the Game Pass. Okay, I'll probably get it because of the xCloud. Because if I want to play shit portably, it's not like I can pack hard drives and connect it up, and there's going to be no disk drives associated with that. So I will probably end up eventually getting Game Pass just so I can play my games on the road when I'm out with xCloud. I was just away the last couple of days down in Niagara Falls, and and I was sitting in my hotel room bored shitless, and I'm thinking, God, how cool would it be right now if I had xCloud and I could play some of my Xbox games like Star Wars The Fallen Order or whatever else that I've been dealing with on the xCloud. So that's why I might eventually get Game Pass, because for a portable standpoint, it makes perfect sense. From a financial standpoint, it makes sense for anybody, okay? Haters, whatever, it doesn't matter. Game Pass is a phenomenal deal, and if you're saying otherwise, I'm going to come right out and say it. You are a complete idiot, and that is that. Okay, because it is what it is. That's why people are jumping on it, because it is fantastic value, and the fact that you can get the big AAA stuff, whether it's Microsoft or other people, day in and day out, is amazing. But I don't want to go on a big Game Pass rant. I may just go, like I said, it's a really tough choice for me because I know that both consoles are going to be absolutely phenomenal next gen. I know they're both at some point in time, whether it's early in the release or late in the release, they're going to bring out some phenomenal games. I'm pretty sure Sony's going to bring it again. I have an even better suspect that Microsoft, because of the new studios, are going to be even better than they were this gen. Like, look, let's call a spade a spade. Microsoft literally did drop the ball and kicked it out the door this gen for the most part. But they will be back bigger and better than ever. They're repositioning themselves to come out swinging with the next console. It's just all about having that fantastic price point, or at least the entry level. We know these things are not going to be cheap. But the question is, as I was trying to allude to before, it kind of got off track. It's not just about affording all the things. It's about finding the freaking time to play stuff.
Yes.
I'm finding right now I have a Switch that I ignore to the 10th degree, even though I bought Astral Chain and I bought Ghostbusters and I bought a bunch of other games for it. I'm just not getting enough time to play everything. I'm ignoring games. The backlog keeps growing. I'm buying games that I don't even play, probably games I don't even need to play, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking about just toning it back, picking one or the other and going with it. Not to say that maybe later on down the road I won't pick up said console, but I still have to lean on Xbox simply because I love their ecosystem. Most of my friends, or most of the people I actually do play games with, are tied to it. My PlayStation list has been growing dramatically, but guess what? Nobody sends me a game invite. Nobody sends me a message over there. All these people keep adding me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you adding me for? You don't even want to play games. If I'm going to keep sending you game invites and you're just going to keep shunning me off because you're searching for your next achievement or whatever, I'm getting tired of that shit. I don't need people to be an echo chamber of fucking boredom. I want people on my game list that I can actually play games with. And right now, I got a couple hundred on Xbox too, and I bet you I can filter down my game list to about less than 50 people that are actually reliable enough to play games. Everybody says they want to play games, but I don't know. That fucking YouTube app is pretty popular on my Xbox and PlayStation. Oh, that must be an exciting game because I see more people just watching shit than fucking actually playing anything. But yeah, anyway, getting off on a tangent here. But yeah, I'll probably.
It's okay. We like a good Nukem rant every now and again.
I think price wise, I think these systems are going to be very comparable. Power wise, I don't think either one is going to bring it to the point that one is going to drastically dwindle the other. Like, I don't think we're going to see as big a discrepancy per se between PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet as we kind of saw with how the X really sort of made the S really kind of almost irrelevant, like or obsolete in a sense, because the games just ran so much better most of the time when developers actually give a shit and actually tried using it. That is, so it's hard to say. The biggest thing that keeps me lingering on PlayStation, I know I'm going to get a lot of boos for this one, is PlayStation VR, because at least I know PlayStation will probably support VR into the next gen, but may even make a newer and improved version, which actually has me excited because, you know, the PlayStation VR was a pretty good entry level point, but it's not quite there. And I definitely think the technology's come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years, as we've seen by the PC VR mods that have come out there and their various versions. So that kind of has me excited. I do like VR enough that I'm invested in it, and I'd like to see it carry over. And I don't know where the hell Microsoft stands on that point. We know they have a lot of third-party support in that stage, but will they bring it out for Scarlet? What kind of games will we see? So I really don't know. But I'm going to have to say I'm going to lean on Xbox, because in the long run, I'm just going to play that one a lot more. It's going to have the games that I want. It's going to have the third-party support that I want. So overall, like, that's probably where I'm going to lean my money. And we'll call it at that.
No, that's actually really great points. And I want to get to Big Cloud Gaming next on this. I know he's a big Sony fan, and that's awesome. But before I do Big Cloud, I have to thank Enrique from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast with not one, but 2 super chats. The first one is $2. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, your generosity. He said Skyrim's clubbing mechanics are terrible. And I'm sorry, that was there for a while and I had to come back to it. And he drops another $2 super chat. And this is so Enrique. He says PC Master Race. And you know what? I mean, listen, if you have the money to make one of these rigs, which I probably should, but probably won't. I like the Surface Pro, which is what I run all of this show off of, and I'm probably going to get the Surface Pro 7 when it's released, because I do like everything that comes with it. But Big Cloud, I want to get your opinion on this for actually 2 points. One, what are your thoughts on a November 20th release date? And more importantly, are you surprised that that this rumor that really has, you know, someone that apparently knows their stuff has it at a $500 price tag?
Well, I mean, again, we're super close, are we not? Year
Yes.
away. And like I said, all my videos, as we get closer and closer, more news, more leaks happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, it's hard to really say if that's actually going to be the launch game, because remember, we all thought the Order 1886 was going to be a launch game for PS4.
Yeah, when maybe they'll make it the launch window, which is that 90 days after a console launches, and what they consider a window.
Right. I don't know. Did Drive Club launch directly with PS4 immediately? That came a little later, right?
That was so delayed, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it came a little later. So I don't know. It's a little tough. I mean, well, then again, it is Gran Turismo. They have been working on this for the longest. They talking about 6K like graphic design in the car or something like that. And that was these are old reports I'm talking about. You know, game like it was in 6K.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
As far as the cars are concerned, again, yeah, it could look good, or it could be, you know, already done, and I could eat my words, and this could be, you know, definitely in the launch, you know, window period. But again, you know, it's really hard to say if Sony will launch it that close, like November. Hard to say. I don't know. I would think they will launch a little earlier than that, but you know, it's hard to really say.
I mean, if you remember, I think you and I discussed it, where there was a December release date. And I said, "Oh, I hope not." I mean, I don't care. Listen, I'm getting it one way or freaking another. I don't care if, like I said, if I got to sell myself on the corner like a hooker or collect cans, I'm going to get these damn systems, and I'm getting both.
Yeah,
but
we discussed that. You had to get that crack to get that. But
the ladies in the chat are asking what's your going rate, Boom.
He got his heels on and everything. Dude,
$5 a finger.
That's the Noof Nukem we all know and love. Welcome, Noof.
Lord. But no, real talk. In all seriousness, like it's never fun to launch a system during holidays, especially with just Black Friday. No, it's not good. It would be smart to launch a little
earlier, maybe the first week of November, giving people an opportunity. Because I mean, listen, if you think about it, I'll put it to this way, folks. Even with Game Pass, Big Cloud, right? And like you said, you have Game Pass. I don't have to buy anything. I just need the system. At the end of the day, regardless of when these systems launch, they're probably going to be close. That's $1,000 without tax. That's a lot of money, folks. I mean, that's a lot of money for an adult. That's a lot of money for a kid, a college kid, a person that's that's not working a full-time job, someone that happens to be out of work. And gaming, like Noof was saying, is an expensive hobby. So it's going to be interesting to see where these companies position these big expensive boxes.
Yeah, when you think about it, you remember when Sony announced that you can now buy their products strictly through them now, as opposed to going to like Amazon or GameStop or whatever. I think that's probably what they geared themselves up for as well, for you to get your
same as Microsoft with this program, pay it off.
Yeah, so that's probably their strategy to maintain stock without having shortages. Now, you guys remember with the PS3, the insane shortages of systems when the system first launched, and there's riots. Pretty much, people are fighting in the streets over this thing, so they don't want.
I can tell you that my brother, who was able to get his hands on 3 of them, my brother Neo Mental, made. I think that the sale of those 3 consoles basically paid for his Christmas. Like, he was able to buy everyone in the family gifts by selling those systems for ridiculous amounts of. I mean, that
tells you people wanted it that bad. That supply was super low for PlayStation.
Ridiculously low. Yes,
you just was paying like what $10,000 for it on eBay. One dude made $4 million.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And dude legit bought, like, dude spent over $4 million on the damn console. I'm like, dude, you paid $4 million on the console that had the weakest launch lineup in history. Like, I mean,
it did have Resistance though, which was dope.
That was one game. I mean, that was one game. Do we need to? If we want to go back, do you remember Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire?
They had some terrible games.
There
were some awful games in there, but I like I said, if there's one thing about the PlayStation 3 that makes me smile from ear to ear, especially checking out your multiple videos you did, Resistance 1 is probably in my top 3 of the PlayStation era.
Now, I have again, like I said, with that whole thing going around, like, remember, there's just no way Insomniac just woke up one day and started going, "Hey guys, press F to pay respects to Resistance 1 and 2. Nah, I'm thinking there's something behind this. You're either going to get one or two things. This series is either going to get remade, like Resident Evil 2, or they're going to probably reboot the entire thing and go past 4 games. I think I would take the latter, which is reboot.
I would love a remake. I would love a reboot, like you say.
If you remake this and you give it the Resident Evil 2 treatment with PS5 graphics,
so good, so exciting.
You remember the opening scene of Resistance?
I certainly freaking do, dude. I love that.
With Rocket hitting the helicopter. Imagine that redone with 4K assets and, of course, ray tracing effects.
I listen, I don't want to get too far off topic, but all I can say is that they should hire you immediately. Get to working on that BitCloud, because I like the stuff you're selling.
I mean, like, again, like, there's so many things going around, especially with companion consoles. I mean, there's so much to really discuss.
Listen, all I can say is this: at the end of the day, I know people really just harken down on this console war shit, and it's just so boring.
It's fucking uninspiring.
Just enjoy the damn system you enjoy, and let others enjoy what they enjoy. My God, please.
Post on Twitter. Ever since Star. All right, listen. When I got Star Wars, I immediately disappeared. I didn't give a shit about anything. When dudes start talking about, again, the whole Kojima thing and the whole Game Awards, it's like, I don't give a shit about this. I understand. But again, we all had this conversation before we even got to this point, right? Remember, we already had this conversation. A bias was going to be shown to Death Stranding by default. Why? Because who's in the game? Boom.
Yeah, well, it's Jeff Keighley. He's in the game.
So you're going to get a bias. So did that bother me enough to where it stopped my game? Fuck no, I went right to my game. I didn't care about this shit. But
yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's just enjoy what you enjoy. Tune into the podcasts that preach fun and community, and support those people, and stay away from the people that push hate. But Zemi Games, I want to get your opinion on this, because I'm interested to know if you're in the market for a PlayStation 5. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of games. I don't know what games at launch. I mean, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we did a story where apparently Blue Point is working on two PlayStation 5 launch games that are older titles that are getting the remaster look to them. And I'm excited because one of those titles was Metal Gear Solid, which I'm telling you right freaking now, if that happens, someone's going to need the AAD to resuscitate me because I'm falling over on myself. And I'm going to be 50, so I'm definitely going to need the paddles. But in your opinion, is the November 20th release date a viable time for a PlayStation 5 launch? And because it's $500, will you be a day one adopter?
Yeah, so to tackle that first question, like is November 20th like a good date? I mean, I think so. I don't know how accurate that is. I think that it's pretty safe to say that you can add 30 days to that or minus off 30 days, and the PlayStation 5 will probably release in that time period. For the $500 thing, I think I kind of fall in the same category as like what a lot of people do. It's going to be hard swinging $500 to buy one system. It's going to be especially hard to spend $1,000 to buy two systems. And so I mean, if I can do it, then yeah, I'm gonna buy both systems on launch. If it doesn't look like it's in the budget, then I might have to buy, the Xbox first, and then later on in December or early January, possibly pick up the PlayStation. But regardless, probably, definitely within the first 3 months that the PlayStation 5 releases, I should have my hands on one. Because there's a lot of games I missed out. A lot of first party PlayStation games that I missed out, and a lot of them that are still going to be coming out. And I'm super excited for that Ghost of Tsushima game. That thing looks absolutely fantastic. Last of Us 2, a bunch of games that I missed, like I think it was like Detroit something.
Detroit Become Human is a masterpiece. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's like a technically walking sim. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, I watched somebody stream it. Absolutely loved it, and I want to play it myself and go through my choices and all that different stuff. So to be able to do all that, I have to buy a console, and for other reasons as well, I want a console. But I'll definitely pick it up. Don't know if it's going to be on the launch day because I will definitely pick up my Xbox before I get the PlayStation. But yeah, super excited.
No, well, I mean, great point. Shady, I want to get your opinion on this because obviously, you support multiple consoles because you are a gamer, even if you have, every gamer, male, female, or anywhere in between, we all have likes and dislikes. Some may like the the PlayStation brand better than the Xbox. Oh, that's okay. Some people may say, you know what? I'm more of a Switch guy or gal. That's okay. And some people may say, you know what? I bleed green. So you know what? That's what I'm getting. But what are your thoughts on a November 20th release date? And more specifically, at the $500 price point, do you think that this could be accurate?
I think the price point's bang on. I think the release date's way too late. The 20th was like 2 days ago. The holiday games are done. So what the hell are these systems launching with? If all the holiday games are already out.
Makes sense. Great point.
What the hell is this system going to have? Like, I don't want to buy another holiday full of games for this generation. So like 1 week after I finally got the last holiday game, the next gen is out. Unless every single game is confirmed getting a next gen patch similar to like Xbox X patches or the Pro patches on the PlayStation, unless that's happening with every single holiday game next year, I just don't want to play this gen's games so close to the next gen coming. It kind of happened when the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 launched with Call of Duty. It came out first. If you bought it on the PS3 and 360, and then when it came out on the Xbox One, you could like trade it in at a lot of places, or even I think officially you could trade in your digital copy and upgrade it or something like that for $5. It was something weird, but like I don't like looking at the new hot games knowing that they could be so much better if they were a month later or if the new next gen system was a month earlier.
Question.
Bad.
Y'all heard about that Assassin's Creed Ragnarok game, right?
Yes, we're actually it's the last topic of the show. We're going to be talking about.
I was going to tie that into this PS5 thing because
that's going to be a launch title for the next gen. So I mean, like,
it'll have to be a repeat of pretty much the PS4. You guys remember Black Flag launched?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
launched with this gen exactly again, and they're also cross-gen titles. Like a lot of launch titles were cross-gen titles, and I think it's going to be the same.
Ghost of Tsushima again. We don't know what release date that's going to come out with next year. We don't know. Obviously, we know Last of Us 2 is coming out next year, but again, cross-gen buy. We know all that's going to definitely carry.
Like, I don't want to see them reselling next-gen versions of this gen's games. Just
I hope
upgrade
they
the
don't
damn
do
things.
that.
I want to see them patched instead.
Yeah,
Just patch the game. It's upgraded. If you own it, you play it on the new system, and it looks and runs better. Like that has to be the new standard. I want to see that. And if that's the case, then these systems can come out on the 20th, and it's fine. You buy all your holiday hotness, and then as soon as you get your Scarlet or your PS5, all those games instantly run better. But I mean, you're still forced to wonder: are you going to wait for that patch to play the new Call of Duty, or are you going to play it on your Xbox One or your PlayStation 4 and then maybe go back to it once it's been patched? Like I see already a lot of people today wondering if they're going to get into Cyberpunk when it releases in April, or maybe wait and play that on the next gen systems where it'll obviously look and run so much better. And the closer we get to the system's release, the games that are releasing around then, it's just kind of like, damn, man, I wish you could have delayed yourself 2 weeks and come out next gen, or I wish next gen come out. So I think the 20th is too late. I really do. There's no way it's coming out in December. So I think you can cut that way out. It's got to be earlier, at the very beginning of November, or even like mid-October. I feel would be the best for me. I would be able to pick that up and then get the majority of the holiday sweetness on your next gen system of choice. And I think that would be the most ideal. For me anyways. So I think it's just a little bit too late. The price is bang on. I won't be getting a PlayStation day one myself. I've never been a PlayStation main ever. I've owned them all, but PlayStation 1 wasn't my main, and that one got the most play from me. I played my PlayStation 2 a lot for the first year, and then when the GameCube and the Xbox launched, I almost never went back. Like I just didn't. I'm not a Sony guy. I had a PS3. I barely touched it. We have a PS4 now. I barely touch it. I've got all the bangers. I've got 700 plus Xbox games, and if I'm in the mood to game, I'm likely in the mood to game on my preferred platform. I have a Switch. We've got, again, all the bangers. I loved Zelda when it first came out. That's all I played for a month. And since then, man, I pick the thing up like every couple of weeks, maybe for half an hour to an hour, just to kind of run around in Mario or see how the new Mario Tennis was. Quickly checked out some Luigi's Mansion. But like, as a gamer, and as much as I've supported everything in the past, everyone's kind of right. It's getting very expensive, but beyond the price, it's not even really the price. It's the time. I've got 700 games on a system that I love to use, and I'd rather spend my gaming time completing those. My backlog is ridiculous. I want to chop it. Yes, right. And I want to chop it down. And, you know, with Game Pass being a thing, there's even more games available to me that I'm not going to have to go deep out of pocket for. So, like, I'm just not doing it. Also, with game streaming coming next generation, I'm convinced Sony's doing it, of course. You'll be able to stream Sony games to whatever device you choose. I'm going to go that route, man, or I'm going to wait later on and I'll pick it up cheap when it's on sale or something like that, or used. And it's got a bigger library of those exclusive games to get, because I know for a fact I will not buy third party on Sony. That's my Xbox stuff. I buy Call of Duty and all that stuff on Xbox. That's my main gaming platform. So all Sony has is exclusive games on offer for me. Same with Nintendo. And Sony's games, as great as they are for a lot of people, that's not my number one type of game anymore, is that single player narrative driven game. Like, I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and this new Star Wars game, it's not bad at all, but it's not screaming at me to play it all the time. It just isn't. I don't have the urge to pick it up and play that type of game as much, where when I'm in the mood to game, all of a sudden I find myself online and I'm playing Deathmatch in Battlefield or Star Wars, or I'm playing my dailies in Anthem to get my grinding loot that I like to do. I don't hate the games. I know a lot of people like, he hates story. I don't, but they're no longer my number one main type of title. So, it's kind of hard. I know, Boom, you're not a multiplayer guy. So being a single player dude, it's great for you when you have these games. You can rip through them and it's fantastic and you love it. But because I'm such a multiplayer guy, I'm thinking I'm leaning way more multiplayer than single in today. It takes up so much time, so much unbelievable time. Those multiplayer games, they're endless, they're infinite. If you enjoy Battlefield or Call of Duty, you can just play that sucker forever, and nothing feels better than, to me anyways, than like winning a match and being top of the leaderboard and having an insane kill death ratio. and you can just pull wicked clips out of it and stuff. And it just takes so much of your time that once I'm done with my multiplayer, it's hard for me to still want to go and just kind of bang on brainless AI more times than not for me. So I don't know, man. Not for me with Sony this time. I'm gonna not do it. At the very least, I'm gonna take a long time and just see what they have on offer as far as their exclusives go.
Well, I
but
mean,
I don't think I'm gonna need a console. I could just stream their stuff. So I think I'll go that route.
All right. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, again, it's an expensive proposition, and not everyone is going to have the time or the money. But Mads, I want to get your opinion on this. PlayStation 5 rumored to be $500, though I'm not surprised. There's a lot of big tech, big hardware. You are a tech guy. Do you think that this $500 price point and the November 20th release date has any validity to it?
Well, I would say that with regards to price, I believe it. So, PS5 probably is going to be around $500, unless Sony decides to lose money on it, as they did with PlayStation 3 back in the days. But I don't know whether they would be keen on doing that. So, I mean, back in the days, if you guys remember, these companies were subsidizing these consoles. Like, greatest example ever, PlayStation 3 was, I think it did cost them like $900 to produce, and they were selling it for $600, right?
They lost some big bucks. Yep.
Yeah. So if Sony would decide to do something like that, then maybe they could go cheaper. But like other than that, otherwise $500 sounds good to me. And I think that Microsoft's Xbox is going to be around the same price, to be honest with you.
Me too.
So as for the release date, I don't know, because like there's been all kinds of rumors, and this guy on Twitter, I'm not sure if he's really credible.
He did leak the original release date for The Last of Us before it was delayed.
All right, okay. So maybe he's got some sources, because I did check his account, and he's like literally like every other day he's like sending like 3 or 4 tweets about PlayStation or Xbox Scarlet, right? So Scarlet's coming at like on 4th of November, and PS5 is coming on like 20th, right? And he's basically the same guy that is telling everyone that Gran Turismo 7 is
the 20th. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a launch title.
Yeah,
which I don't necessarily believe, because like, if anything, I would say that they might actually release a GT Sport PS5 edition. And there's been, well, if you actually, I think I still remember, like the Polyphony digital guy, what's his name? Whatever, doesn't matter. So the head of the studio, he was like saying that they want to support They want to support GT Sport for a very long time. So I think it's going to be this rather than GT7, because like has that ever happened? I mean, has Sony ever launched Gran Turismo Sport?
Never. It's never been ready in the history of the console. No.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation has always pretty much launched with Ridge Racer, right? So I don't know. I don't really believe that. So GT Sport, I'm sure it's coming, but I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Especially that they are still heavy occupied with updates for GT Sport, right? So I don't know, but that's just me. But genuinely speaking, like I'm super excited about PlayStation 5 as well. I mean, like like just like you, Boom. I'm a big single player gamer. I mean, big is maybe too big of a word, because I don't have that much time to actually play the games as I would like to. But like, but I like those, like basically 20 to 30 hours kind of games where I can actually sit down, play it, go through the story and finish it and move on to another one. So obviously there's a lot of them on PlayStation. So I've owned pretty much all PlayStation consoles so even PlayStation Vita, and like I'm super excited about like next Uncharted, God of War. For me, what's the name of this RPG game from Guerrilla Games?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
My favorite.
For me, And I know that a lot of people will disagree, but for me, this is the best game on PlayStation 4 right now. I mean, for me, because, like I said before, when we were talking about Mass Effect and stuff, I like those sci-fi kind of stories, right? So I did really like it, and I really do hope that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to be launch title or will launch around the launch of PlayStation
Me
5.
too. I'm right there with you.
That'd be
Exactly. Resistance, another like sci-fi kind of game and shooter. I love shooters as well. So, there's going to be a lot of games on PlayStation 5. So I'm actually getting both consoles day one, mainly for the channel because I do a lot of like tech stuff. So
Yes.
probably be doing all kinds of reviews, comparisons. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks.
We're gonna have lack of sleep for producing the content and trying to play the games as well. Listen, first of all, great points, dude. Really great points. I do have one last topic I want to go into before we get everybody out of here. But before I do,
to it as well. First time.
what's that?
Let me add this to it first as well. So you guys remember the reports of Gran Turismo, but Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yes.
This is obviously going to be, they said it's next gen. Now, with everything that's dropping right now, all the leaks and everything coming forth with PS5 and of course Scarlet, do y'all think this will be closer to, like, now I wouldn't say launch window, but close to launch window for the next gen consoles, the release of this?
GTA?
GTA 6.
No way. I don't think so at all. I think they're waiting because that company makes world records when they go to sell. They want to have at least like 20, 30 million consoles out there, I think, before they release this beast to the wild. So we're looking at probably 2 years into the gen.
They still have to fix Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, so there we go.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, let's not get into that because that is a mess. But real quick, before we move into the last topic of the show, Spider-Man drops a $2 super chat. I thank you so much for the additional donation. He says Scarlet will launch with free games via Game Pass. That's definitely a possibility. And our very good resident Scrub Nurse drops an outstanding additional $10 super chat. And he says, I think the date is too late. Maybe mid-October, if PlayStation and Xbox will have all the specs that are rumored, I can easily see 500. I would agree there. I'll save to get both consoles. If not, Xbox is always first. A lot of people are thinking that, but let's move on to the last topic of the show, and I think it's a good way to close out today's outstanding show and panel. A new Assassin's Creed game details has been reportedly revealed, and considering there wasn't a new Assassin's Creed in 2019, I'm ready for the next installment in the long-running franchise. According to comicbook.com, where I pulled the story from, the next Assassin's Creed game is taking players to the land of the Vikings. And I've talked about this on an earlier show. So this new report basically almost confirms that in fact is going to be the case. As you may know, this matches up with previous reports, which I just mentioned about Ubisoft, and they come from credible sources. The new report takes things, though, a bit further and spills some additional and alleged details about the game that were not originally in the leaked report. Echoing the previous reports, though, this new one, which comes the way of Daily Game Report, claims that the game is releasing on the next-gen consoles only. And that's obviously the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet. And, of course, the game is also coming to the PC. Interestingly, though, the report makes no mention of the PS4 and Xbox One. And to be honest with you, I want my next Assassin's Creed to be the maximum package, so I have zero problems with it skipping the old generation because the games are getting bigger. They're getting more detailed. There's more NPCs in the background, and I really want this one to be bigger, if that's even possible, than Origins and Odyssey. And I think that unfortunately, these games are going to become so graphically intense that they're going to need the power that these new consoles have. Now, the report goes on to say that this new entry will take things further into the past and will be set before even previous games in the long-running series. More specifically, though, it will focus on the first civilization, the fabled culture of the technologically advanced peoples that predate our ancestry. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I think everyone knows that. And I loved both Assassin's Creed Origins and 200 plus hours into Odyssey. I am very excited that they're going to be moving into what's the Norse mythology, which we saw make a huge comeback in 2018's outstanding God of War. And obviously, as you would expect from a Viking game, there'll be plenty of seafaring and naval combat. Plus, the report also notes that the RPG mechanics of the last two titles are going to be coming back, but also that we could be traveling to Asgard, and that sounds ultra interesting. So I'll go to Zemi Games first on this. All of this, obviously, Zemi, sounds awesome to me, and you already know how I feel about Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed franchise. What are your feelings on the new rumored Norse mythology Assassin's Creed?
I mean, so you said that this game's going to go further back. That's what like the rumors currently saying. It's going to go further back than any. See, so I actually, for me personally, I find that kind of disappointing because whenever I think of Vikings, I think of, them, invading England and that's just kind of what I think about. So and Assassin's Creed always has the historical characters and stuff like that. And, I don't know how exactly they're going to be able to implement that with it happening like early on in like Norse like civilization. So for me, that's a little disappointing. I really wish that the time frame would have been a little bit different. But overall, I'm still excited for it. I'm probably going to buy it. One of my biggest complaints for Odyssey and Origins, I didn't have this complaint, but was just the amount of grinding it took to level up your character to be able to go do the missions that you specifically wanted to. So I hope that they definitely reduce that. Then again, like the gameplay elements could shift once again away from what Origins and Odyssey did. Kind of the way that Odyssey is a little bit, further away from what Origins did. It might shift again. So hopefully they do that. I think that'd be really exciting. And I hope that they give you like I don't know, like more things to like a more in-depth experience with the naval combat, because for me personally, the way that the naval combat was treated in Black Flags, I really liked that more than how it was treated in Odyssey. But I'm definitely really excited for it. I wish the time frame would be different. I think that they should probably change a few things from what they did in Odyssey, but I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us, and again, obviously, we saw what they did with God of War and Norse mythology, and I can see that obviously not going to be the same game, but I can see that kind of detail coming to the Assassin's Creed series. Nukem, let me get your opinion on this. First of all, are you an Assassin's Creed fan? But more specifically, are you disappointed like Zemi that they're going back further and not moving forward to like someone like Christina in the chat is saying she wants to see them go to Japan? And I'm all for that. They should have been to Japan 3 games ago. I would love to see a Japanese Assassin's Creed. What are your thoughts on that, Noof?
Well, when you think about assassins, I think a lot of us, that's what you think of. You think of like the feudal Japan era. You think of the samurai. You think of the ninjas, all that sort of stuff, right? So I'm really shocked they haven't explored that yet. And there obviously other developers are kind of hinting on that. I've always said I would love to see, and I've said this on numerous podcasts, I would love to see an Assassin's Creed game set in the more modern era of, say, the 80s or the 90s.
Wow,
especially the 80s. When I grew up in the 80s, I grew up on a lot of those fantastic Sho Kosugi movies. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but like Pray for Death and Revenge of the Ninja and things like that. And those were awesome. And I would love to see an Assassin's Creed game like that where you could literally be kind of like the new Spider-Man, where you could literally jump on the top of a car, or you have a bow gun and the ninja stars and shit like that. That would like blow my mind. I would be totally down with that. Like literally like scaling the side of a building, crawling through somebody's apartment, assassinate someone in their sleep, just get the hell in, get the hell out, have the cops on your ass and shit like that. You're using all this cool gear, but you're everybody else is kind of modern. I think something like that would be really cool and be different because we really haven't seen too much of it out there. I'm not really like this is the whole thing. I'm getting kind of really tired of this. I think their last couple of games were awesome. Don't get me wrong. I still haven't even beat the latest one in Odyssey, although it's really good. But honestly, I prefer the old Assassin's Creed. Honestly, you know what? I'm probably in the few, but I really love the original game, Assassin's Creed. Love the time period. I loved Altair. I like the fact that it was a bit more linear. Yeah, the series has come a long ways in a lot of regards, and I also think the series has fallen off, and it's not what it was. Because to be honest with you, to me, that Assassin's Creed Odyssey, while people praise it, that was Assassin's Creed. It felt like in name only. It didn't almost feel like an Assassin's Creed game anymore. It like that could have been almost Rise, Son of Rome 2, as far as I'm concerned. Because of the time period, the way it felt. You didn't even have the little thing up your arm anymore. The switchblade knife and stuff. It was. I don't know. So I'm not excited in the least. I have like next to zero anticipation for it. Now they're going to go out in Norse mythology. Come on. What is this, copy God of War Day or something? Like everybody gets one idea and then they roll with it. Just like everybody has a World War II game and there's 3 or 4 games that come after. Like, what are they doing? Like sharing secrets at the boardroom and like, hey, we're doing that. We got
Inspiration.
yeah. So I'm just going to leave it there. I don't care what they make. I think I'm just going to bypass it because I'm sure it's going to be another open world fetch this, fetch that, help
Yeah, more than likely, which I like. I really enjoy it. I know that's ridiculous, but I love it.
But for me, no, like make it different, make it totally fun, make it unique. I'm not about little fucking history lessons with fetch quests. That's not my deal. So that's just me, man. I'm going to leave it there. Assassin's Creed is a done franchise for me until they come up with something that'll blow my mind. I am going to pass.
Okay, real good. But Big Cloud, let me get your opinion on this. I don't know necessarily how big of a fan you are, but does this new information about them returning, the returning franchise, going back in time to Ragnarok?
Come on, Boom. You just hurt my feelings. I platinumed the entire series.
Well, there you go. Okay, there you go.
Platinumed Odyssey. Odyssey's good, but let's be realistic here. The reason why they're going back in time is to pretty much capitalize on what they did with Odyssey, and that's mythological creatures.
Yes, sir. And that's what I loved about that. One of the things I really enjoyed about Odyssey was those mythical creature battles, which some people overpassed. You didn't have to play. You could have logistically beat the game and never got those.
Exactly. You could beat the game and never fight Medusa or the Minotaur or any of these type of
Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops. I remember when I first ran into one. I was like, "What the hell is that?" It was like a shadow silhouette of it in like this little one area. And I was like, okay, "What is that?" I go over there and it's like, "Oh my god, it's level 55. I'm dead." And I know what the hell this thing was. So that's what they're doing that for. But I agree with Nuke. It kind of lost its identity after the whole Ezio storyline. It doesn't really follow the code of Assassin's Creed anymore. You see, with the first one, you had to case your target. Each particular target
felt sit and listen. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you had to do. Yeah.
Everything you had to do, you had to learn information. You had to learn, why am I killing this target? Why is he corrupt? How is he X amount of things? And you learn this through different methods. Those type of things, don't get me wrong, they kind of cut those methods and put those more into story with part 2, which made it that amazing. Remember how you got like that brief description from the guy who worked the database? He gives you all the details about like how the corrupt are. Like that one dude who betrayed his best friend who was his bodyguard because he wanted his wife, stabbed him in the head with a So, there's nothing like that anymore. It's more or less just either a fetch quest, which again, they're hit and miss. Some people might like them. I thought they were okay, but I can definitely agree they can become more overwhelming with the series, especially with the new direction. Some people get bored with the fetch quests and kind of lose, like, when you have so many, you kind of lose the gripe of what you're really trying to do, unless you're trying to go for 100% of completion. So it's up to you in that particular thing. But I don't know what to really say with the franchise anymore, to be honest with you. I remember they didn't even take a gamble really with what was it? Was it Liberation with the female protagonist?
Yes, Liberation was good.
Great. I like that.
Liberation was fantastic. A lot of, do you know how many people did not play that freaking game?
Oh, dude, they brought it for PS3 and everything. I am shocked that a lot of people have not looked into Liberation. It's a nice addition to the franchise.
Yes, a bit of a change up too. I mean, it went back to a little bit of the older school Assassin's Creed. It was quite enjoyable.
Different outfits for her that limit her things. For example, she had to have like a lady. If she was a lady, you couldn't really do assassin type thing, and this had more like a strategic element to it, which is interesting. They didn't go back to that. There was another one. The last good one I thought really that kind of had a good blend of the stealth. If you guys remember Syndicate had a good blend.
Syndicate was dope. I
Yeah,
100% of that. And you know what? I'm not going to ruin it because maybe there's somebody who wants to play it. That secret ending, though, where you go,
perfect.
What era you can go to, crazy dope.
Dude, and I loved about that, again, it gave you options. And they just were badass, like the twins, Jacob Fry.
Brother and sister, man. How could you beat that?
Yeah, I love that. Like Jacob was awesome with his custom hidden blade where it had like the bare knuckles on it. Dude, I thought that was sick and innovative.
It's crazy. I like this. I like playing as the sister better, to believe it or not.
Yeah, because like it just it's like one follows the creed, the other one's a hard ass. Like I don't need to follow the creed. I just do it my own way. And I like that yin and yang type effect, right? They don't explore that no more. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was another good game, but I feel like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it's just like they didn't answer certain questions. Like, how does he know how to do X amount of things when he's not even an assassin to begin with? Because remember, when he first gets the assassin's robe, he just kills a corrupt assassin and then takes his identity. That's it.
Yep.
And then it's like, I don't know. It's like some stuff is just shoehorned into this series, and it doesn't really quite fit, to me at least. It doesn't feel right. But to get back on topic, I'm beyond in shock that we haven't even touched Feeble Japan. You would think we'd go back to that, especially with new consoles. Why are we going back instead of forward when you have new consoles coming out? Why not blur the lines and really push it into something cool? Because you guys imagine like them having like a Sekiro type of vibe.
Oh, listen, stop right there, dude, because you're gonna ruin Ragnarok for me before I even play the freaking game.
That's an opportunity. You would think with Sekiro alone, they would have got inspiration from that alone to push Feeble Japan. Feeble Japan is a good type of timeline for Assassin's Creed. This is the perfect timeline.
Yes. No, you're right. Great point.
Yeah, if you don't want to do it, especially, you could go even deeper. You could give us the history of the Hidden Blade further.
Yeah, no, I would love to see them take it to feudal Japan, but I would love you to have the choice of maybe feuding creeds, where one would be ninjas and the other could be a samurai. Holy shit! Now,
samurais, you find out one's Templars, like ancient Templars. You know what I'm saying? It's something cool.
It's crazy. All I can say is that Ubisoft, I'm currently in the need of a job. So if you need a writer, I'm very good at writing, and I could pen an incredible Assassin's Creed feudal Japan story for you. I will take the job.
Dude, could you imagine the shurikens you would throw? They would be the Assassin's Creed symbol. I mean, come on, dude. There's so much.
We could do 3-hour podcasts just on.
I know there's so many cool things, ideas there. But to end on this, again, that's embarrassing that we haven't even touched that timeline. And the worst one I personally played, I would say Assassin's Creed 3. I couldn't get into Assassin's Creed 3 all the way. Even though I platinumed it, I was bored with that one, but
you were a fan through and through, no doubt about it. Even you platinum a game you weren't even a big fan of, so good on you for that. So Shady, let me get your opinion on this. Ragnarok, especially when you start talking about Asgard, has a tremendous amount of heft behind it in regards to its story, its history, and the potential for a pretty epic Assassin's Creed. Are you interested to know that this is potentially going to be the next Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I am. I grew up not a big fan of Vikings. I thought they were kind of boring, just guys with like horn helmets and the long bows with shields. I just kind of wasn't into it at all up until almost the Vikings TV show on History Channel came out, and I'm like, all right, I'll give this a go. I loved Spartacus and stuff like that. I was into the hack and slash TV genre big time. So I watched Vikings and instantly fell in love with it and the culture and stuff. I didn't realize how truly mysterious and how little we know about that culture is and how involved they were in much of what goes down in the world. Like even today, their bloodline is in like the royalty of Britain and stuff still. It's crazy. I didn't know that stuff. I just was ignorant to it all. And there's a lot of history there. They were intense people, very intense people. I'm with Zemi. I kind of wish it was around the time that the show takes place, which is when they're invading Britain and all that jazz. And I think that fits better with the Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is a story about the Templars, which is like the modern day Illuminati. I don't know how conspiracy driven anyone else is. I love that stuff. I love it. I'm all into it.
No, not a surprise there, bro.
Yeah, well, it's the story of the Templars and the other secret society that has been set up to fight them. So I don't think it belongs in Japan. I'm not the most familiar with Japan's conspiracy theories, but I don't think the Templars are really over there in their past and doing things. So it's totally different. Yes, they jive on the whole ninjas are assassins and you kind of do the same thing, but I don't think Assassin's Creed should ever go to Japan. It's too tropey. Other games do it and they do it fine. They do it great, actually. I think the best part about Assassin's Creed is you get to see all these other different parts of the world that we don't get to play in most games almost ever. We don't go to Egypt very often. We're not going to old like medieval. Well, actually medieval's wrong. We're there all the time thanks to fantasy. But like they just take us to different parts of the world and show us different time periods that we don't typically play in games. Playing in like a feudal Japan and old Japan as a ninja, it's been done so many times. So many times that I don't think Assassin's Creed needs to go there. And like I said, I could be wrong, but I don't think the Templars, this is a fake story. It's all made up and written. I get it. But I don't think they were in Japan necessarily. All the conspiracy around that group of people comes from what they've been showing in ancient Egypt and stuff. Like, so I'm down with what they're doing with that. I like it a lot. And then as far as like a modern Assassin's Creed goes, I think that's called Watch Dogs, to be honest. That's what I call it. Like doing the same thing. I think a modern ninja isn't going to be using throwing stars. He's going to be using his cell phone to hack everything, get all the information on the guy, sneak in, and maybe just choke him out with his sweat sock. They're just going to do whatever they got to do to get the job done. That's what an assassin does. The whole ninja get up in a modern setting. That's cool in movies. It's fun. I love it. I grew up in the 80s too. But like, I don't think that's the way a real assassination would work. Whereas Watch Dogs, I could see it. Watch Dogs 3 looks very gritty. You're working for some organization, hiring up all these guys and stuff. So I think that's kind of always been their version of a modern Assassin's Creed is Watch Dogs. I know Abstergo exists in the Watch Dogs universe.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Breaking news coming soon: Assassin's Creed: The Stone Age Edition.
I mean, hey,
You have fire, me no have fire. Assassinate you, club, get the club.
I like Assassin's Creed. It's got that sci-fi element with the ancient first civilization, which again is a big conspiracy, is that there was some humans have been around for millions and millions of years. We've just been wiped out and we're the aliens. They were able to leave and watch Earth just get pummeled and come back down and keep reteaching what was left civilization. I don't know. I like it. The little pieces of Eden that allow certain people in our own history to give reason as to why they were able to rise to power and have influence over everybody. You know, like Hitler had a piece of the apple and George Washington had a piece of the apple. Like, I think that's really cool. It's got a really cool story. They sort of pulled back from some of that a little bit, but the last game, Odyssey, like had the most first civilization stuff out of all the games, which is really cool. And it went the most fantasy for sure out of all the games, which is really cool as well. So I'm excited. If it's going to be a next-gen only game, I want next-gen only games to be more than just better looking. If it's the same type of game we're playing today, but it's better looking, they can release it on today's consoles and just turn the graphics settings down. They need to be doing something dynamically different, something crazy with the AI, with the amount of characters on screen, maybe with 100% destructibility on the entire environment at all times. So you're just punching holes through whatever you want to get where you need to go. And they can't scale that down. Otherwise, if we're just getting prettier versions of today's games, they don't need to be next-gen only, and I don't think they would be either. Those are the definition of basically cross-gen games. We saw it this generation, with Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Had the Nemesis system on current gen that could not be done on the 360 and the PS3. So when they released it on those ones, not only did they look worse, obviously, but they were missing what quite frankly made those games unique and special, which was that Nemesis system.
Yeah,
absolutely. It couldn't do it. So that was a next gen game that they kind of had to do more than turn it down. And I'd like to see that. If this is going to be next gen only, same with like GTA, any game, they got to start doing stuff other than just looking prettier. That's it. Because, you know, settings on PC can be turned down to potato mode. I've seen the videos. They look horrendous, but the games still play. And who am I to judge someone that has a garbage, you know, PC and they just want to play the game. They just want to actually do it. I know even pro gamers will turn graphics settings down, resolution down to get the highest frame rate. They're not there for the graphics. They're there for the smoothest gameplay. So something next gen has to happen that just totally changes the game. Otherwise, release them wherever they can and just turn the settings down so everyone can have a shot at these. Don't force people to buy something that they may not be into.
Okay, I mean it makes sense, you know. And Matt's Gaming. Why don't you close us out with your thoughts on the potential and rumored new Assassin's Creed to be in Ragnarok. And are you in agreement with a lot of people, not only on the panel, but in the chat, that they need to do something slightly different with the next entry into the very long-running series?
Yeah, it would be cool. I mean, like the setting, well, it would be something, well, nice. I mean, it would be something totally different, I guess, because we had, Europe states, we had, those ancient times, like, the ancient Greece and Egypt and stuff. Yeah. So I'm currently actually I mean, not like as of now, not like now. I still have to finish the origin. So I mean, these are very long games as well.
Yes,
and
they
there's
are.
there's a lot of games to play. So I'm being constantly being dragged away from these games, like by new releases. But anyway, so I mean, I'm totally fine with the Vikings and that kind of stuff. So that's all fine. What actually is interesting is that the rumor about the fact that that would be a proper next generation game only for PC and next generation consoles. And on a first thought, I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. I mean, why would they want to basically cut off like literally 150 million of current gen console owners, right? Probably even more next year, right? But at the same time, if you really think about it, the Assassin's Creed Unity was a proper next generation game, right? Did that launch with the new consoles, or was it shortly after? I think that was a launch title or something.
I think it was a launch title. I believe so.
Yeah, and yeah, because so that they did that before, and Unity was a proper next generation game back then. Actually, what's interesting is that they've pushed next generation graphics and all these FX and stuff to such a degree that these consoles basically struggle to run it. And if you played, and I know that you did, Unity and then Syndicate wasn't as impressive visually as the previous one, right? Why? Because they learned the lesson. They knew that they couldn't push the consoles that much, right? So, listen, I'm all for it if they were to push the next generation graphics, 60 frames per second, obviously, and like a little bit of ray tracing. Don't push it too much because I still want this 60 frames per second.
Right.
Those frames are needed.
Yeah, and I mean, and a lot of like, if you read like most recent articles by different outlets, like all these developers are super excited about like faster load times, CPU power, so they can actually use better physics and that kind of stuff. So there's so much and obviously, if you're going to make a game that will only run on these next generation consoles, well, then obviously, I'm sure you're going to have more stuff to put into the game and better physics. I don't know. I actually don't know what they can actually do with the game, right? But just do it, and I want it. So well, yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to next generation. But listen, we are almost at 2.5 hours, and I think everyone is just. This has been a fantastic show. We talked. What I loved about today's show more than anything is it was all about gaming, all about about what we love as gamers. And I'm glad that we were able to get to pretty much every topic that I had on this, on the docket for today. So let's get into the outros. But before I do, JD Gamer with the outstanding $5 super chat. He said, I'm late. I'll catch on replay because I know it's a great show anyway. Hit that like button, folks. Well, thank you for the vote of confidence. I think you're really going to dig today's show. Let's get everyone out of here. And let's start with Noof Nukem. Noof, listen, dude, I love the fact that you kind of step back from the podcasting scene to kind of just take in gaming. And I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here, because I truly honestly love having you on the show, because your opinions are raw, but they're heartfelt and they're honest, and you cannot argue with that. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've definitely took a step back from a lot of things, especially from the podcasting and stuff like that. At some point, like I've reiterated, I may come back to it all. Do have a few things that I'm contemplating, but for now, yes, just find me on Xbox at Noof Nukem. You can find me on PlayStation at Noof Nukem 76. Couldn't tell you what my friend code is on Switch because I never remember those things. But anyway, like I said, I'm always playing games. I'm always down to play games. Dropped the ball on a lot of things. Community game night did not go off as well as I had hoped, and then of course I got busy the last little while, so I've been really busy on weekends. But hopefully I'll try to get back to that as well soon. But anyway, just like I said, follow me on Twitter to see what's happening. I'm pretty active on there more than anywhere. That sort of thing. And it's just Noof Nukem on Twitter as well. So I appreciate you having me here, Boom. It's been an awesome panel. Everybody had some great points when they chimed in today. I always love being here. Whenever I can make it, I will certainly do my best to be here. And I look forward to coming back soon. And to everybody in the chat, you guys have been awesome. Thanks for interacting and stuff like that. Like I said, we don't always have to agree. But hey, at least we can have a sensible adult conversation, and that's what it's about. But just keep on playing, keep having fun, and I'll hope to see you all soon.
Yeah, well, thank you again for being here as always, and of course, let me go to Mads Gaming. Mads, listen, this was you were fantastic on here as expected. You are a very technical gamer, but more specifically, your channel does cover the technical aspects of gaming when you talk about the chipsets and the power ratio and ray tracing. And I think more people need to flock over to your channel to check this out. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your absolutely outstanding YouTube channel.
Well, thank you very much for the invite, Boom, again, and thanks actually for joining my podcast. Actually, was it like last week? Yeah,
no, but this week. It was Wednesday. Yeah, it was.
I don't know, like time flies, right? Yeah. So thanks a lot. And yeah, I mean, if you want to hear some stuff about like technical aspects of gaming, I actually cover all kinds of stuff. So yeah, check me on Twitter, Mads Gaming PL, and Mads Gaming at YouTube. So yeah, like I said, I do kind of all kinds of videos, more technical, I would say, but I cover the latest news, like gaming news as well, once for a while. So yeah, I mean, if you're into that, check that out. And yeah, thanks for having me. Great panel, great topics. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Great.
Again, thanks for being here. And of course, we will be working together, hopefully much sooner than later on both our shows. Let me go to BitCloud. BitCloud, first of all, dude, thanks for being here. I know that you and I were up late last night on Salty's very exciting podcast where it was very, very, let me just say it was emotionally charged. It would be a good way to say it. But everyone, of course, treated everyone with respect, even though we don't all agree. It's still about gaming. Tell everyone where they can check out your show, which you have today at 5 p.m., which everyone should tune in for. But more importantly, check out your outstanding and very awesome YouTube channel.
Yeah, I nearly killed myself last night with literally getting back on Star Wars after that show. So it was quite rough. But real talk. Shout out to everybody in the chat. It was a good show. You guys can find me on YouTube at Big Cloud Gaming on YouTube and Twitter, the same name. We'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern for the RGT podcast. So if you guys are interested, definitely come on by and say what's up. We'll definitely love to have you guys with us. We'll have a good show as always. But yeah, thank you guys again. Hit that like button for Mr. Boom here, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, thank you very much for that, dude. And yes, actually, we're going to actually get into that in a second. But Zemi Games, I just want to get you on out of here. I want to thank you for, of course, returning to your seat. And I've kept it nice and warm for you. You know, you always are welcome on this show. But of course, you spend most of your time on the Xbox Factor podcast simply because it is a passion for you and you enjoy talking about the box that bleeds green. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Well, Boom, fantastic show as always, and thank you so much for throwing me out the invite. Definitely enjoyed today's show. If you guys enjoyed my opinions, if you want to check me out on YouTube, I do a bunch of gaming content, game reviews, gaming news, some tutorials here and there. You can follow me by just searching for Zemi Games. You guys can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like, at Zemi Games as well. Boom, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, I enjoy working with you, dude. And obviously, yesterday's show, if you missed it, was utterly fantastic. Lots of big opinions regarding the Game Awards and the Gears 5 snub and what we thought about it and our theories. But of course, rounding out and finishing off this outstanding panel is So Shady. So Shady, I want to thank you so much for being here. As always, you do bring a certain of charm and very you could be a little rough around the edges, but you know what, at the end of the day, you are a gamer. And you know what I really enjoy about your when you talk about your opinions is that you explain why you have these opinions. And I think that that is something that is really important, especially when you're trying to make a point. Tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter to be a part of the Sesh Empire, but more importantly, to check you out on what other shows that you're on.
Thanks, Boom. It was a pleasure to be here, as always, like it is every week. And this is one of the places you can find me, Breakfast with Boom, every Friday. The other one is on Monday evenings, also on Boom's channel. It's Primetime Gaming. I'm taking this next week off, but I will be back the week after. So you'll see me again next Friday is my next appearance. But I am So Shady on Twitter at the Sesh Empire. That is one word. Don't just stand around as some Joe Blow. Stand up, get recognized, become an agent, hit that follow button. Interact with me. I interact with you, man. I am active on Twitter. I like to have a good time. I talk games and other forms of entertainment. I smash a few trolls, but I'm all about the laughs at the end of the day. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Enjoy your weekend. Happy gaming. Mandalorian, the 3rd episode's out. I got to get to it. I'm excited, but that's that. Take it easy, everybody.
All right. Well, thanks for being here as always. And of course, I just have to thank one more person, Face Crook, with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, great show, great panel. Thank you so much for being here. Also, the kind words and more specifically, the generosity. I want to thank the chat. You guys and gals were awesome as always. Again, as I get more popular, you're going to get more and more knuckleheads every now and again. Today seemed like a really good chat. And I have to start. I'm going to open up having a few more moderators on people that are here each and every week. And I'll be reaching out to you privately to see if you want to be a part of that, because it is important to have people that just want to talk about games and get those a-holes out of here before they cause trouble. Real quick, a couple of programming announcements. Next Friday, we will not have a Breakfast with Boom. It is Black Friday. My wife is going to be cooking really putting her foot in the pot, if you know what I mean, on Thanksgiving. And she's off on Friday. So we're just going to be taking the day to kind of just recharge our batteries, chill, maybe do a little shopping, and just spend some time with each other. Thursday's show, obviously, the Xbox Factor podcast, will not be airing on Thursday, but it will, in fact, be airing on Wednesday to accommodate for the holiday known in the States as Thanksgiving. So you will have 2 shows next week from my channel. One, of course, is Primetime Gaming, and our special guest is going to be Jay Fonzarelli from RDX, and we're going to be talking about, is there corruption? And more specifically, has the corruption of the Game Awards been uncovered? And we'll be talking about that and a few other really big topics. And of course, the Xbox Factor podcast. If you're an Xbox fan, you are probably going to want to tune in Wednesday at noon. Once again, I just want to wish everyone a fantastic weekend. Be safe. Don't drink and drive, folks. And I just want to close out the show with this. 2 things that my pop taught me when I was a kid. 1, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And 2, treat others how you want to be treated. And I guarantee you're going to have a great day. Take care, everyone. Have an awesome weekend. And we'll see you on Monday evening. Take care.